Well, I've just started to record now, so we're recording now anyway.
Okay. All right. Well,
So the time now is 31 minutes past. I don't know what time it is over your place. It's 31 minutes past 2. Well, only a quick one because I've got to take the missus down in a minute. And it's the
well, I
21st
guess
of February.
for the sake of recording it, what we did was we started this conversation because I found an audio, well, a video also, actually. It's about 4 hours long. And it's David Wynn Miller's very first seminar back in 1995. And what a difference. Much younger man. Kind of boyish looking, a little on the slim side. And anyway, right in the beginning of the video, he's talking about quantum grammar, of course. And where he went was by saying that all of the sentences were structured so that the United States of America, as it was properly called then, got sucked right back into England. Okay, contractually, treaty, and of course, financially. And you can see that we never got our independence. The king still had control over all the navigable waterways, honestly, a lot of the land, and the interests. The interest, that's a neatly vague term. Interests include minerals, stuff from the land. And what ended up happening was a Rothschild operative named Alexander Levine, who changed his name to Alexander Hamilton, started the first bank. And his philosophy was the more a nation owes, the more it's worth. Yeah, to a banker. Yeah.
That's the control, not the money.
Yeah, he was a Rothschild operative, as I was saying. And he started the first Bank of the United States. And after 20 years, his charter ran out, and no one wanted anything to do with that bank, anything to do with that jackass. He wound up dying in a duel. You know, as I remember properly, he died a painful death. I think he got shot in the gut or something. And then when the charter ran out in 1811, another thing happened. And as I was explaining to you a little while ago, the Constitution that you see that has 14th Amendment, 15th Amendment, 16th Amendment, that's not the original Constitution at all. The original one has only 13 articles of amendment on it, the 10 Bill of Rights, and 3 more. And in 2013, I wrote New Hampshire House Bill 638. It was sponsored by a representative, Stella Tremblay, a woman from Italy. Funny thing is she was more American than 99% of the people in the State House. Boy, did she espouse freedom and the Constitution. Well, a lot of people don't realize the original Constitution was a Vatican trust. It was a debt consolidation. So it overrode all of the states, linked them all to whatever debt would be created by the United States. And as I said, that first bank was a institution of debt, is what it was. So Article 13 was what my bill was about. That was the third and final amendment attached to the Bill of Rights. Article 13 is the titles of nobility in it. You're not allowed to have any titles of nobility, be a foreign agent, what have you. You can't hold an office of trust. And that's in the representative republic. It's really a union of states. In fact, when the Constitution came out, the Articles of Confederation has the style of the name of the republic. It's the United States of America with an uppercase T in the first word. When the Constitution was created, that changed to a lowercase t. And as they wrote, to make a more perfect union, what they were doing was making it more perfect for the crown. So that's what caused the War of 1812, not the impressment or press ganging. The British soldiers were over here on the ground and on in the Navy, and then we got very busy fighting Canada at the time, and really bit off more than we could chew. And they called it a draw. It was a tie. Well, it split up, but it wasn't. You could see in the Treaty of Ghent of 1814, I think, that the king still had control over a lot of things. Interests, land, navigable waterways, what have you. And it was almost a repeat of the Treaty of Peace of 1783. It was in Paris. Rothschild of France helped finance us. It wasn't the French helping us. Mm-hmm. They did some ways, the people themselves did, but the bank over there was by no means for the French people. Mm-hmm. And Rothschild of England helped the king, who was the Prince of England, France, and Spain.
And now under the control of Rothschild.
All of it. But it's where we're going to go with this conversation is what's actually happening with the Rothschilds now, because everybody over there, I'm sure, is quite interested in the controversy over here at the election. Mm-hmm. So moving along, we didn't win the war. And then the banks got reestablished, of course. And by the time Andrew Jackson became president, he bent a few rules, so to speak, but he killed the banks. He just eviscerated them, paid off the debt. Sorry, I got a notification from someone a little earlier than they usually get up. What time is it? Yeah, it's 6:41 a.m. here. I've been up already for quite a while. So after that, they had to engineer a way to suck us back into banking and debt. And that's what they call a civil war. Really, it wasn't the Civil War at all. It was the War of Northern Federal Aggression. And I blame a huge portion of it on a big jackass who's made out to be a hero today called Abraham Lincoln, Abraham Springsteen, by the way, and he was a bar attorney. He wasn't even supposed to hold office. And he was as nasty to the Northerns, huh?
It's not to number 13. He wouldn't have been.
No. And the publication of Article 13 in every state's book that they produce every year went way on beyond the War of 1812. It wasn't actually removed. What they did was they created another constitution a little later, but So the South, they had their own money. They needed to increase industry, and they were getting abused, and they were. You know, I'm from the North, and I'm telling you now that the South was getting abused. So Lincoln even said, keep your slaves, just don't secede. Well, the slave thing was actually dwindling away anyway. That was already going on its way out.
Yeah.
And who owned the slaves? Here's the thing people need to know if they're going to listen to this. The slave owners were by no means, as you would say, the average bloke. they were all the buddies of Rothschild, because they were planning everything all along, because that's what satanic people do. And the Rothschilds, part of the satanic bloodlines. Now, I should throw this in for the benefit of the listeners. I recommend heavily you go to YouTube and look up Roseanne Barr, the comedian. Roseanne Barr interviews Dr. Sean Ross, Hross. And you're going to get a damn education about European history that they didn't tell you in your school books. So to touch upon what he said many other times, because I've been listening to him for as many years as he's been on YouTube.
It's amazing.
What we have is a situation that the world is run by these satanic bloodlines. And a lot of them come out of, I would say, Central Western Europe, came from Eastern Europe. And before that, they came up through various routes, but there are what is called the Pharaonic bloodlines, and the Khazarians. Mm-hmm. And they have terrible things that they do in their lives and to their offspring. Mm-hmm. And they're the sons of Cain. Now, the symbolic story in the Bible of Cain and Abel isn't exactly as it's represented in the Bible, because let's face it, the Bible is a micro slice of a friggin' mile-high stack of history. Mm-hmm. So it was a genetic intervention. Eve really means slave woman, so to speak, as it turns out, not as it's represented in dictionaries. Because if you love history, you can't get enough of it. That's the beautiful thing. I can't get enough. I just can't. So you get into the history of it all, and Enki, Ea, however you want to say it, was the fallen one, and he's the one that they refer to as Yahweh, Yahvud. He got Eve pregnant, and then she had a sexual commerce with Adam too, and created a pair of unidentical twins, and one of them was Abel, and Cain murdered him because Cain was from the seeds of Satan.
It's like the cuckoo, isn't it?
Huh?
It's like the cuckoo dropping a cuckoo. When the cuckoo lays its egg in a nest, it lays its egg in a different nest, and when the cuckoo hatches, the egg hatches, it chucks out all the other. It gets rid of everything else, so that it's the only one.
Oh, the bird?
Yeah, bird cuckoo comes from South Africa.
He uses his ass to push the other eggs right out of the nest.
Yeah, you got it. You got one.
But he's all ass. How's that? Okay. So anyway, skipping ahead, all these bloodlines, and they that's who runs everything. And they hold up there in Switzerland, in the Knights of Templar and the Freemasons. It's thick and rich with them up there. And as Dr. Sean Ross says, They're the coldest, most miserable people. And they're not neutral at all. They've never been neutral. The reason they call them neutral is because they stopped their mercenaries from fighting against each other. Because they'd go work for one guy, one country, king, and then with the opposing army, and fight each other, and they were killing each other. So, but as far as neutrality goes, no, they orchestrate all the wars. They have all the banks, the Universal Bank of Switzerland, the Bank of International Settlements, and they run big pharma. They're into, as Sean Ross, I'm quoting him again, their dirty little fingers in everything.
Yeah.
So that's who these royal families are too, you know. And there's a video that I'm going to have to share with you, not at the moment, because I have so much shit open on my screen that it will ruin the conversation if I go looking for it. Well, what ended up happening was this, in 1861, the southern states, they abandoned Congress. And Lincoln did a couple of bad things, well, more than a couple, but he formed his own coup. He replaced the people that walked out. They weren't actually, they didn't go in properly. They couldn't because the South didn't want anything to do with it. And then what he did was he took a bank, loans from the Crown banks. And he was not supposed to do that. So now he had no choice to do but what he did. And as I was saying, he was as nasty and rotten to the northern states as he was to the southern ones. And he punished anybody who freed slaves down there. It was a pretty famous story of what happened. I think it was Missouri or Arkansas. I forget which one. So what he did was he created another massive debt and ruined the country. And the only thing I could say in his favor is toward the end, he had realized what he had done. He ruined everything. So he decided to try to replace what he ruined and repair it structurally. And they shot him. They took him right out of the picture. And in 1868, they rammed what they called the 14th Amendment down everybody's throat in a whole separate document, really, because that's the one where they changed things. The 13th Amendment ended up being the freedom of the slaves. And one day before that, I think it was July 28th, was the 14th Amendment. 29th or 28th, but one day before that, they released the 15 Statutes at Large, Chapter 249, which was your right to expatriate. Now, this is very important for this story because you do not want to be a U.S. citizen. Anybody who claims to be a U.S. citizen really doesn't read. Yeah. You have no rights. You're a citizen of a corporation. Yeah. Okay. Which is where I should get to right away. I already did my expatriation years ago. I'm not a U.S. citizen. I'm a state citizen of New Hampshire. I'm a state citizen national. So what happened next was it's called the District of Columbia Organic Act of 1871. They created a corporation that has this new constitution and put it on the District of Columbia. And it was all of Rothschild's buddies because that's how they stole everything. Then they kept trying to get a central bank in. Couldn't do it until the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. That's when they really took control of everything, and they murdered whoever got in the way. And probably the most famous of the murders is when they switched the Titanic with the Olympic, because the Titanic was new, and they put Titanic on the Olympic, the old one, and sunk that damn thing that had all their opposition on board.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it was already damaged enough to sink already.
A lot of people don't know that. And so anyway, moving right along, the Constitution of 1789 was bankruptcy number one. Right after the Civil War was number two, and then along came the banking emergency of 1933, which was bankruptcy number three. Now, again, let me say that when you're a nation state, bankruptcies are not 7 years, they're 70. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that ran out. Of course, after they tried to monopolize the rest of the world with World War I and II and more, Korea, it ran out, and then United States went into liquidation. And that's what a lot of people don't know. They don't know that United States became a post-liquidation zombie crown corporation. I say zombie because it was electrocuted. It was going to live another day, had enough money in its pocket to buy dinner, but then after that, bonaceda. So that ran out. United States, finally, we're getting to the juicy part of this whole timeline. Mm-hmm. United States is now dead. It's gone. Mm-hmm. And from what I hear, July of last year, 2020, is when Donald Trump, the CEO of the United States Corporation, he got together with the military and they reformed the republic. I can't prove that because I can't get my fingers on it. If I can see it, touch it, hug it, taste it, then I'll really believe it. But the supporting evidence is tremendous, because I do know that the United States is done, at least. Joe Biden got sworn in 10 minutes before Donald Trump would have left. He was going to leave at 12 noon. At 11:50, Biden got sworn in. Now, here's what Biden did. Washington, D.C., by the way, is now a FEMA camp. Mm-hmm. It has 3 huge fences and barbed wire all the way around it. So the foreign District of Columbia, which belongs to the Vatican, or did, by the way, I have to throw this in. England hasn't been in control of England since around 1200, because the king back then didn't make his payment of marks of silver to the Vatican, and he lost it. And then the inner city of London, called the Crown Corporation, you have over there, right near the middle of London on the Thames River. Mm-hmm. That's purely, or at least was, purely Vatican. Mm-hmm. And that's who the Queen worked for, of course. And the Vatican is run by, they say 13 crime families, but there's another one that's never mentioned. They don't make a lot of, they don't bring the spotlight to themselves very much. You have a white pope that everyone sees. This time, for the first time in history, the white pope was a Jesuit, Jorge Bergoglio, otherwise known as Francisco, and in the corporate world, Franciscus. And he was a notorious criminal when he was in South America. And you have the superior Jesuit general, who is the Black Pope. Now, I forgot the new one's name because the last one is out, and the new one, I forget his name. Shame on me. And then you have the Gray Pope. The Gray Pope runs the whole Vatican. His name is Pepe Orsini, and that's the bastard that these are the families that want China to take over because they have other plans, which is stupid because it's all part of even a self-destruct thing, because it's what happens when you deal with murderers. Eventually they take over and they murder you too. So they're all satanic. So the republic is supposed to be reestablished, and we know United States is dead. So what's going to happen? And they're all going to be in not a Congress, because it's not. It's all administrative. There is no. There are no three branches of the government in Washington. They're all administrative. It's under a banking emergency. It's taken over by foreign agents, and their jurisdiction is on DC. The way they get jurisdiction other places is by getting you suckered into presumptive contracts and other stupid, deceitful black magic and the wrong money, the whole bit. Don't use Federal Reserve notes. I don't touch them. So that's what's happening now, I hear. Now, I know that the military is still involved. And supposedly, Trump is going to be the head of the republic. The vice president is General Flynn. And I don't know how many of the listening to this know that it was the military that wanted Trump in. Then along came the ballot fraud, November 3rd. Trump knew all this was going to happen. In fact, it turns out he's a lot sharper than all the rest of them. What he did was he waited till the last minute for everything, and he found out who all of his enemies really were. And few of them were in the military. The military-industrial complex is run by the same big bunch of jackass bankers.
Do you not think that he's a part of it? He's just another puppet.
I always think that, but
Sean Ross.
I'm wondering, because the people who are close to him that talk about him are also who I listen to, and they say that he's just a good guy. He's just a good guy, and he loves America, and he loves his family. And they talk about how he is around his family, even years ago. And I think he must have an idea that, we all have a place in this world, and we don't live forever. So you might as well do the right thing, right? But we still have the facts that the United States is in fact defunct. It's gone. You know who knows a lot of this stuff? There's two guys from England that have videos together all the time. One of them's Charlie Ward. You heard of him?
Yeah.
Okay. And there's another English gentleman that connects with him pretty often. Forget his name. He has a lot of cats and dogs running around them while he's talking. It's funny. And they have a clue. They have some of this information in their heads. And what we're hearing is, was it March 19th? For March something. Trump is going to take his oath of office again, but not to the United States. Biden's stuck in that boat. That's a sinking vessel.
Yeah.
And he's stupid for getting involved anyway. and all of that Congress, which is why I was explaining it's administrative, they're all going to be their boat is sinking. I don't know what they think they're doing. So that's why it's all fenced up. That's where it's going to be.
Yeah.
Then you had that alleged invasion of the Capitol building. Well, the friggin' Capitol Police opened the doors, let the people in, and the people that did all the damage were Antifa and Democrats. They were all connected to the Democrats. They weren't even part of the main body of the crowd. So Antifa had been infiltrated, by the way, by special forces. And what did they do? When the crowd poured in there, they went and they stole Nancy Pelosi's and a whole bunch of other laptops. And to finish part of what I was saying, what happened was the machines, Dominion machines, were kind of taken over, and they went through the communication went through an Italian satellite, which was controlled by the Vatican, and then it went to Germany. And not that long ago, the United States military went over there and invaded that place in Germany and took all those servers.
Yeah.
You know,
the Kraken, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The Kraken.
And then,
they named that military the Kraken. They released the Kraken.
well, then China threatened to sue Kraken for $1.5 billion. Well, good. Then we get full disclosure right in the courts.
Come on, bring it on. Yeah, too right.
Let's do it. So something's supposed to happen. What ended up happening? A lot of the military people got sworn in after they got vetted. By the way, they found a dozen jackasses had infiltrated the military over there. Well, a bunch of them got turned into U.S. Marshals. Now, if you don't know the history of the U.S. Marshals, a lot of their job is primarily to protect these damn stinking bar attorneys in black robes after 1871. Mm-hmm. And they're a bad thing. So U.S. Marshals are going to have to get dedicated to better things. I hear that all the courts, all the attorneys have to leave the Crown Temple bar associations, and they all have to get retrained because they all commit massive fraud every day of their lives. They traffic.
Well, they can't work on men and women, can they? They can only work on the fiction. They have to. They can't work on facts, you know.
Yeah.
What's this new? So there's another group of lawyers or attorneys, or whatever you want to call it. There's a new breed going in there that's going to do law rather than the legal. There's going to be a new breed. Is that right?
Well, you can see some of it on the surface, but the courts themselves around the country, 50 states, they haven't had this happen yet, and they're going to have to. I'm gonna help them learn it too, because I'm doing something right now that the local courts are really not going to like too much. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's
In fact, I'm working with someone now who their knowledge and mine overlap. Sweet. But we each have knowledge of law that the other doesn't have. Mm-hmm. So when we discuss what we're doing, it's a lot of fun because they're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, what we've come up with is that they're operating in a counterfeit system. They're not even following process. There is no such thing. They're completely actors. There's nothing lawful about the court.
Well, there's a reason for that, because you're under military capture.
Yeah,
that's what that gold fringe banner is.
And it has been.
So what they're doing is they're salvaging everyone's vessel,
Yeah.
and they're trading counterfeited securities.
Yeah.
Which is another thing. So I think a lot of them really, well, there's going to be military tribunals, okay?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the courts are going to get taken over by the military. Yeah. And I think some of them belong on the end of a rope. I think there's going to be a lot of that. Right now, there's a kind of a conflict going on in law in wartime about whether the military should be hanging them or shooting them.
I mean, the point on that, I mean, the point on, I mean, because at the end of the day, yeah, these people are wrong. But like you're saying, you only know what you know. You only know what you've been brought up to be. And like you say, in having some form of compassion, you know, these people know no better, because they've been brought up, they've been tortured, they've been abused, to not have any compassion or care or empathy for anyone.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because guess what's going to be happening with relation to that subject?
Right.
A lot of the hospitals are going to be converted into FEMA hospitals.
Well, I think they are.
And a lot of these criminally insane jackasses as they are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know, because
are they going to pump them full of DMT?
Share this with you.
Are they going to pump them full of DMT and get them back to?
I don't know, but the problem is, I learned that when you are of these satanic bloodlines and you torture kids from a very early age, that it actually makes a physiological change in the brain. And I don't know if that can be repaired.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I've heard say that there is no hope for some, but at the end of the day, yeah, this one thing I've always said, yeah, no one on this fucking planet can hurt me more than I can hurt myself. Okay, and there is nothing worse than mental pain, right? So for them to know that we now know, and for them to been shown what reality, what should be, and who they really are, and to introduce them, because, you know, I don't know, like you say, whether they would be able to forgive themselves is a different thing. Whether you would need to hang them, you know, I always say hanging's too easy for a start. If you even if you had hatred for these people and you couldn't, you know, you just wanted them killed because of what they've done, and rightly, and it's righteously to understandable think to want these people seriously hurt. You will not hurt them by killing them as much as you will hurt them if they have become aware of what it is they are, who they are, and you know what they've been.
I think what they're doing is, and with regard to what you're describing, is a little word I made up. They're committing pseudocide. they're killing themselves and the others around them. Yeah. And you have to really hate or be sick in the mind or be damaged in the mind, yeah, to self-destruct like that and to take down everyone around you. And to touch upon that, I'm going to explain something that a lot of people don't believe because it's not out in the wide open. But there are huge numbers of people, kids, that get taken and abused and killed and eaten. Yeah. A lot of people don't believe that, but the number is actually quite large.
You can see it, right? With what's been exposed, there's enough. People don't want to know it. People don't want to look at it because it's too hurtful and harmful to see it. And I can understand that, but at the same time, if you don't see it, then that's why it's continuing. You know, so
one particular situation over there in England is
the Hampstead children.
Yes. Yeah. Now that's a perfect example because more people are aware of that than other cases. Yeah. And they get protection from the police and other people.
Well, the Freemasons.
Other people are out
again, it's the secret societies.
They're out there to troll your stuff.
Oh, God,
make it exposed.
Well, that's why I've lost all my profiles, because of them. Lost all my YouTube channels and my Facebook profiles.
I know, thanks to them, there's been 50 Andy Devines.
Yeah. Oh, and they make profiles up of me, pretending to be me, and go out and slag people off and cause all the
Yeah.
problems, so everyone hates me. I know.
Well, I like to explain something. It's painful, so I doubt little kids are going to be listening to this. But you have these people, and here's what they do. They torture the bloody hell out of the kid, and they're killing the kid, and the kid knows it. And they start pumping adrenaline into their system. And then what happens is they really start, they're torturing and even more. And they are screaming and screaming, and they go into hyperventilation. And when you go into hyperventilation, you get too much oxygen in your blood. And that creates adrenochrome. And then what they do is they cut the jugular vein or any other main vein, and they commence drinking the blood out of the kid while the kid's dying. Because as soon as the kid dies, the process of manufacture of adrenochrome stops and it just goes away to nothingness. So that's what they do to these kids. And I apologize in advance for the explanation, but that's what these sick people do. And that's what happens to kids. And you have people who have come forward and talked about the abuses they got even by CPS people. So what they do is when they do all this in a big ritual, and then they end up having it actually causes them to climax sexually, trying to put it politely. And they have these wild orgies, and they get together and they do this stuff, and as some Hollywood people have come out and talked, they call it, when you snuff someone, snuff films, the whole thing. And I can't comprehend hurting a kid, never mind doing that. It's beyond my comprehension, because if you try to imagine yourself doing something like that, only to put yourself there to comprehend it, sort of like you try to analyze any subject, no matter what it is, I run into a wall, because
That's why
can't
that's
comprehend.
why they get away with it. It's because no one can put, any normal man or woman would never be able to physically put themselves in that position where you could feel that you could get anything but,
Oh,
nothing,
let me tell you
nothing.
this much, though. You have to go back in time a little bit. Excuse me for a second. You have to go back in time, because they used to get caught.
Okay, babe. I'm
They used
just going to shoot down and drop the wife off in 5 minutes. But we can pause and I'll be back. I'll come back to you if you want.
Sure, I'm going to be here.
Yeah.
I got things to do.
We'll just pause and I'll nip her down. 5 minutes.
Yeah.
No, not yet. I'm going in 5 minutes. Yeah. Or do you want to go now, babe? Heather, do you want to go now? 5 minutes. Yeah, I'll just pause it for now then. And we're back. So we'll continue from there. We're recording again now then.
We would never make it on a talk show with and we're back, but that's okay. We're not a talk show.
Hey mate, I keep it real. I get all these other people do all this presenting, which is all well and good for some people, but some people like it because I'm just as it
During the pause, a subject popped up that's related to one of the things we were talking about, is the massive trafficking and murder of kids.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not getting caught a lot, right? Well, there was a time where they were getting caught and they were getting taken out. And you gotta think about what Rothschild means. It's red shield. What's a red shield? It's they were that type of people. They change their name all the time. They keep changing their when I say name, I mean their society name. I'm not talking about Rothschild specifically. They're the Khazars. They pretend to be Jews, and that's who took Palestine. Then I hear they took Adam, the seeds of Adam, and brought those there. And again, a lot of people don't realize these creatures were genetically modified by aliens. Mauro Bellino, an Italian guy, was hired by the Vatican, and he got the job of interpreting ancient Paleo-Hebraic writing. And he looks right at you when he's saying it, and he says a woman there that's an interpreter. I should say an interpreter / translator, because they're not both the same thing. Mm-hmm. And he says Yahweh is an alien. Freaking alien. Then I found a guy from Germany who's really sharp on history and what's in the Bible. And he's talking about how the alleged God came on a spaceship. Mm-hmm. Well, we knew that, but he was putting the pieces together a little bit better than I had. And it describes the sound, the wind noise. The spaceship would look like a saucer. The description is in the Bible, he says. I forget where he found it. I'm not a Bible expert, only on some things. It looked like a saucer, but it had legs. And what was described in the Bible is how the wheels would go in any direction. And on top of those, not on top, but incorporated with the legs, were all these propellers, like helicopter blades. And that's how the thing would fly around. And he also talks about the civilizations that were building landing spots for them. So Yahweh, as this German guy puts it, the creator of the universe doesn't need a spaceship to fly. And one thing that they call him Jesus, I don't know what his name really was, it might have been Yeshua, but he said, your father is the devil to all the bad guys that had him murdered. And my father has never appeared in voice or in form. So who met Moses up on top of that mountain? Exactly. That raises the question, doesn't it? So I look at questions. See, much of what I do is to I bury myself in hidden history. And you don't know how you're going to stumble on things and find things. You get lucky a lot of times, and you find things, and it's what keeps me busy. I'm never bored, by the way. If I run out of something that I'm doing, I'll do that. But they used to get caught, these child molesters, we called them, where I grew up. And they were killed. But now they don't get caught as easily because everybody is, we were just saying it. Like I'll use America, for example. You got all these fat Americans sitting in front of a television with cheap beer in their hands, eating junk food. And they get all their false information from network television. Because when you don't watch TV, which I don't, and you're always digging facts and history, when you see the television at someone's house or whatever, and you stand in front of it for a few minutes, I start laughing, and they say, "What are you laughing at?" What bullshit! They might as well just pee at you from the television, right into your living room. It's pure nonsense. Like they edit the truth out of everything. Like, look at the jackass, Jack something, I forget his name. He runs Twitter, right? Who censors Donald Trump right off of it, and they removed thousands of people. Anybody that leans toward the conservative line of thinking,
It's a goal of it as well, isn't it?
removed. Like right now, I'm in Facebook jail again. I just got off it. I was on it for 60 days. And I just got off it. Now I'm already back in it. And this time I can't even message anybody. I can't post in my own page. So why am I saying this? I hear that because of what they're doing, it looks like Trump is going to make these announcements on television and broadcasting, and whoever doesn't send out what he's going to say is probably going to lose their FCC license.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Again, he's not the president of the United States Corporation.
Yeah.
It's only a corporation, and I think that they're gonna a lot of them. I don't know what their scope of knowledge is. The representatives and the judges, they call themselves. They're not judges, by the way. Judges don't enforce commercial code upon people, especially who aren't engaged in commerce. Only administrators do. So what they're doing is they're ransacking our wealth. What they're doing? Oh, gee, you went through a stop sign in the middle of nowhere where there were no other cars. That's going to cost you $250. So the other thing people should learn is if you have an alleged traffic problem, you should take care of it at the Department of Motor Vehicles if you're going to go along with it. Don't go to the court. Go to the court if you think you're going to fight it as if you're a state employee. That's what they do. They coerce you into the office of the person, which is a state employee, and you're not. So
it's a fiction.
everything they do, almost everything, is it's racketeering. Now, if someone goes and murders someone, robs someone, real crimes, yeah, let the bar association have their way with them. They'll stick him in one of their own privately owned prisons for the rest of his life. He's probably worth more to them alive than dead. So there it is. But when people don't harm anyone or don't violate a contract, the court has nothing to say to you, and technically they don't anyway. They're a private corporation. And by the way, just to reiterate a point, to convert it to this point, is since the United States is defunct, and all those courts are subdivisions of the fictitious state that is a subdivision of the United States, they're all defunct. So they have no standing anyway. So that's why I was thinking, as we were talking before, what's going to happen is a lot of those guys in black robes are going to get in serious trouble. If I were to spend 6 months at any court and start going through all the alleged cases, I would probably have enough to stick the guy in the bench in jail for the rest of his life.
Well, that's what we've been pointing out back there. I mean, it's not just that. I mean, right then, go back a few years. I'm not over there in America, but I can talk about what it was in England, right? You used to have MOTs for cars and insurance cover notes, yeah, and you could nick the MOT books, and you could nick an insurance cover note book, right? And then you could sell them. You could fill them out for people that didn't have any insurance. They'd been pulled over and they didn't have an MOT on the car, or they didn't have insurance. You could fill them out, and then they could go and show them to the police officer and say, thank you very much. And that would be it. They would get away with it.
But now, right, yeah, everything's on the computer. So now you can't do that anymore. And all they have to do is check your registration number, radio it through, and they'll come back with everything, who owns it, you know, his age, everything about him, whether it was MOT'd, whether it's been insured. They just know it's all on the computer. Well, they showed us, yeah, exactly how to catch them out. How they caught any criminal out, yeah. Well, okay then. So you're criminals, you judges, you barristers, you lawyers, because you're running counterfeit court cases, because none of it's on the computer. None of your documentation is genuine, and therefore it doesn't stand, just like an MOT certificate or an insurance document doesn't. And therefore you're all caught out, and you showed us how to catch it out. So thank you very much, because let me see the caseman file, which contains everything to do with any case that's been within that court. Any information that's been laid in front of a court for the court to issue proceedings on creates a case number and a case management file for every case that it's created. And if there isn't one, just like the MOT certificate and the insurance document, it isn't real. So bingo, job done. Thank you very much. All we need now is everybody to realize this. Ask the question, can you produce my caseman file? Because if you can't, then thank you very much. You've just notified me that it's a counterfeit case. And thank you very much. That is a crime. And there is a claim. Where there's a crime, there is damages. And now I need reimbursement for the damages and costs that you've created to me for a counterfeit case, which was the crime in the first place for taking me there and creating the illusion that I fell for, thinking that I was walking into a genuine court when actually it was just fucking Coronation Street or EastEnders, and it was just a complete fucking act. And you bunch of bastards, you must have all been in on it, because you would have known. You would have known that there was no genuine court case, because there has never been a genuine seal on it, which would have to have a raised seal. If it was a real court order or anything like that, have to have a raised seal or an embossed seal on it. None of them are. They're just them little rubber stamps. They haven't even got the genuine court stamp that's got a date in the middle of it. They're just the little rubber stamps. And you can download these off the internet. And that's what a lot of other people are doing, going around using counterfeit documents, just like the court documents, pertaining to have authority of the court, because they're pertaining to have been issued and administered from the court, but they never have. And this is the CPS, or whatever you call it over there in America. You know, this is them little scumbags working alongside with the scumbags in the police and the scumbags in your government, local government, your councils and whatever. And these three, this little triangle, are fleecing all you people, and in England and in America and every other country. They're just fleecing you with counterfeit cases that didn't even exist and will never stand up in a court of law, because it's proven it's counterfeit. Oh, but this is the thing. How can you prove a negative? How can you prove something that doesn't exist? Well, you spin it back on them. It's not you having to prove it anymore, because you make the claim. When you make the claim that that was a counterfeit case, they have to produce the caseman file and the case number and everything to produce that, to say that it did exist. And they can't do it because they never existed. John Patterson, he's locked up on a court case that never happened, never existed. But he's in prison. What do you mean it didn't exist?
Well, over there in England, it's a different kind of corruption. Over here, most of the time, not all of the time, but most of the time, the guys in the black robes will back off when you start going after them. Really and truly, what needs to happen is you need to form an assembly, a common law assembly, if you will, and then have a jury and try and convict the bastard that harms people, and then go arrest them. Because all
I mean, the other thing is this, Dave. I mean, this is what
all your courts and police are corporate.
Yeah,
if
I know.
you form
The point is
something,
you're going into a battle then, and it's a battle that they're gonna provide the enforcement to stop you from doing it, because if you expose one, then they're going to do it to everyone. So that you're causing, that's a war. So basically, the thing is, it's just holding them to account. You see, it's like this again with courts, right? If I'm an account, I'm self-employed. Say, right, and I'm doing my books like I used to when I used to do my books, and used to have your ingoings and your outgoings, yeah. So your incomings you write down on one list, and your outgoings you write down on the other list, and you get your box of receipts out and you fill all your outgoings down. And if you start putting extra digits in there, yeah, without any receipt to cover those digits, yeah, and they come and do an overlook on your accounts, yeah, and say, yeah, okay then, but where's this £500? Where's your receipt for this £500? Yeah, you're in trouble, right? Well, what about the court fees? On these fines that you get, you'll get court fees. If there's a fine, if there's a fee being paid, yeah, there's a receipt being given. Can you produce the receipt for these fees?
Because the reason they won't do it is because over here they make case numbers and they make charging instruments. So what you have to do is use the charging instrument, and what you can do over here is you take all of the fraud that they create, all the counterfeited securities, bonds, everything, and you have to send it to the IRS, because no one does that. And when you send it to the IRS, suddenly that entire courthouse has a massive liability to the IRS. That's what you need to do, because then the IRS will have their way with them.
I'd be interested to see if they actually did, but as far as I'm concerned, it's one big club, as you well know, and the IRS are in with it, because the IRS is completely illegal, because it's illegal, it's unlawful to charge anyone tax. So they're all criminals as well.
Who's prosecuting the guy that put John Patterson in the clink?
Who, say that again?
Who's prosecuting the people who put him in the clink?
I'm going through the process right now of getting an order on the court. We just not long ago, we sent a draft order into the court to administrate an order for him to be brought back to his, bring him back to his position, and arrange a court hearing for the costs and whatever it is in their system to activate to capture all the ones that were involved in that crime that has now been exposed to them, because they've been that the court's been asked to produce the evidence. They've gone every way, they do, try and bring you into an argument about this and everything, to keep off the point. So we just stayed to the point. Can you produce us the case number and the case management file? That's all we've asked for. Yeah, and they've gone every different way. Oh, it's gone to the Crown now. Doesn't matter where it's gone to, it started here. Where it starts, there's got to be a record from where it started. That's what we want. So can you show us this? So after about 5 or 6 emails, and they basically, with what they'd told us, that there is no case number, the numbers that you'd been given by his lawyer, then none of them, one of them's a CPS number, which we know. We're not interested in the CPS number. We want the case number from the information that was laid in front of a court for them to issue the proceedings. We need to know that John Patterson has been served any proceedings issued by the court, number one. And have you got the proof of service? No, you haven't, because he has never been served any proceedings issued by the court. Number two, we want the case number that was generated to the proceedings that was issued. Number three, we want the case management file. That's it. That's all we've asked for, yeah? And
I think what's going to happen here is going to happen there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so basically right now, and I've sent it again. I left 10 days and I've sent it again. And it's been 5 days now, since they've responded yet again. So they've failed again to respond. So they must be doing. I'm hoping there's some sleepless nights, because the next thing is, is the court manager, because I've got to get the court manager's name and his public liability, his insurance details, which I don't think they are. But I mean, there's a lot of different other different ways. But at the moment,
you know what I think? I think that if they actually created a real case, if they did, the alleged injured party would cause full and complete disclosure if it became a courtroom contest.
Well, this is the point. We've got to, because I mean, this is it. I mean, John said, because John told me it was Katie Bourne, the Sussex Crime Commissioner, which is the policewoman that got Matt Taylor, got John Hove, got Brian Setch. She's got loads against her. So she's being completely protected because of the societies that it's going to expose, that John's been exposing. You've got Ricky Dearman, who we was just talking about earlier, who was the satanic cult leader that the two children had exposed, Hampstead children exposed. There was DC Steve Martin, who was the Freemason puke copper, who got the children to change their stories on the third time. And then you've got Gilly Jones, who is Katie Bourne's legal, she's a prostitute, a solicitor. Yeah. So these are the four people that allegedly, according to John, have made a claim against him. And I said to John, I says, have you seen it? And he said, no. He says, I've been told. I says, I didn't say, I said, have you seen it? No. So there's nothing. That's what I'm trying to say. There's nothing in front of anybody to say anything. There's no case number. There's no case, because this must be all on the case management file. There's nothing. I says, don't you see, John? Just like Carol Woods, you know, the warrant on Carol Woods, you know, this is what they've done. So Carol Woods was exposing Lancaster County Council, yeah, because of the Freemasonic pukes in there, that was the child trafficking and so on and so forth. And it was them that have got their Freemasonic pals with inside the CPS to generate in the judicial side with a rubber stamp a piece of paper that they claim to be a warrant, that they've gone down, and the police, because that's the other side of the trio, the triangle, yeah, the council, the courts and the police have gone and enforced a fake counterfeit warrant onto Carol to then take her into the warden, and the rest is history, as you know. And that's just two. The list goes on. It goes with all the whistleblowers, by the way. It will be with them all. They're all being set up through fake counterfeit, and that's the whole part and parcel. That exposure should shock everybody enough to go, I was taken to a court. I wonder, because we even gave them a template just to send in to the court to ask them for their casement files, which is theirs. There's no DSAR on it. You know, that's there. There's no data protection on that. That's their data. So they must give it. You know, it's lawful. They've got to give it you, but they can't give it you because it doesn't exist. So everybody's going to realise that, oh my God, I was taken to court. I got my house taken off me. I had my children taken off me. All these things, yeah, they're going to realise that all this was done by a counterfeit court case. And once they've realised this is what I'm trying to say. This is what we're looking for, yeah. What Anthony was like saying, and I can see it, because just like when the banks were charging the insurance on the loans and things, yeah, and they was unlawfully charging it, then they had to give it all back, and there was the PPI claims. Everyone just phoned up and say, yes, I've had it. Yeah, okay, then they paid you out. Yeah, well, it's exactly the same with these court cases. Everybody who's had a court case, boom, just apply for it. Okay, haven't got it. Thank you very much. Job done. There's payments to be paid. They have to reimburse. Plus, it'll do a double whammy as well, because then the courts will have to be operating correctly from there onwards. And I know there's no court. We know what the game is, but the point is, courts can be what they can't. Every government can be what they, even though they're not governments. All these people that are alleged positions of authority are what they are because they're being allowed to do it by acquiescence of the people, because the people don't know the question.
The people need to form an assembly,
yeah,
and do something. That's what it is. It's the populations over here. There's assemblies popping up all over the country. You know,
beautiful, man, beautiful.
That's what's happening.
It is in England as well. It's happening everywhere. I mean, that's what COVID's all about. You know, what's another reason for COVID? You know,
they need to bring cases, at least use their own legal system.
Yeah,
you can at least start out with that. They can't do anything to you about that.
Mm-hmm.
If the assembly gets together and then a jury decides that so and so has done something to harm somebody, then you hit them with the affidavits and see what. And again, internationally, an affidavit stands as truth and law.
Yeah,
and then
rebut it. That's it. This is the point. This is the point that I'm trying to say. You know, how can you prove something that doesn't exist exists?
Well, they have to rebut the affidavit.
Exactly. So you have to make them prove it. It's not up to me to prove it exists. It's up to them. They're the ones that he who makes the claim, yeah, burdens the proof. Yeah. Therefore, they're the ones that says that it's a genuine case. Well, they're the one that says it's a case. If it's a case, then it's.
Well, it's not a case technically.
Well, it is when it is.
A case is like
It is a case. If a case is for a court case to be a court case,
doesn't have a commercial case number.
Hmm?
That's what it is. Doesn't have a commercial case number. That's what it is.
The point is, for a case to be a
case
case,
is
there's a procedure, and that procedure has to be followed for due process. And therefore, these things, yeah, if they're not there, then there's a crime. And the fact is that if they're not there, you only what the main thing is, you should be asking for the people that have been done. This is for the people that have been taken to court, had the children taken off them, had the houses taken off them, had the whatever taken off them. Yeah, for people who's been taken to court, you must ask yourself first of all, if it's a genuine case, then you can argue the toss about whatever. But if it's not a genuine case, why not? And if it's not a genuine case, that is a fucking crime. That is the crime. Yeah. And that's what's got to be dealt with. And that they've got to be held accountable for.
Assemble and do something about it.
Yeah. Well, in numbers, that's why we've done that. We had that. Anthony Badler, he's got over 200 cases. He's won. He's even been offered payouts. He's been offered payouts. But he's like, he wants it. He doesn't want that. He wants everybody to become aware, because once everyone becomes aware, the PPI set claim back for everybody is going to happen. He wants it for everyone, and he also hopes to hold the courts to account, which is beautiful. And he's created a petition only because he's using the website, because it's a perfect platform for getting the information out there. Plus, every time anyone signs it, all the information gets sent out. So it's just by pressure, by the mere pressure of the people power. Yeah, it's the people that the public pressure, the people, when there's enough of us, there's not enough people realizing how they've been ripped off. Although, I mean, if they went round with them, if they went round to the house today and they were selling, let's say they were selling their telephone, yeah, and for 40 quid, and someone went round with them and tried to buy the fucking phone off them with two 20-pound notes that were counterfeit, they'd they'd tell them to stick it right up their arse. But if someone comes round their house to take their house off them with a counterfeit warrant, with a counterfeit court order, they go like, oh, it's exactly the same. But the point is, they know what a counterfeit 20-pound note looks like, but they don't know what a counterfeit warrant looks like. And the fact is, the police come and enforce it. The police come round and enforce it.
Police are low IQ, lights out meatballs.
Yeah, but they're a part of the triad. They're a part of the triad.
Whatever they're told by their Freemasonic bosses. Cops, I really have no respect for them.
Same with the council. The same with the council.
Most of them are complete buffoons. Yeah. They're complete jackasses.
I've seen.
I mean,
I shared a video. Yeah, I shared a video. Somebody had done a video of the police test. The competency test of what a policeman has to fill in.
Yeah.
He said it's so great. There was 60 questions, and he says if you tick in the middle, don't know all the way through, right, you get 37 out of 60 right already, just by saying you don't know. By doing nothing, yeah, you get 37 out of 60. And he says the questions are so pathetic. Yeah, if you had 2 5-pound notes and and 3-pound coins in your pocket, and how much have you got? This is the mentality of the questions that the police.
I'll give you an example. Massachusetts, as screwed up as it is, and a screwed up governor actually did a good thing. He created the environmental police, and it's for companies and people that shit all over the place. All right, long story short. Now, all of these environmental police, when you look at them, you notice they don't look like other cops. They all have master's degrees, PhDs. They have credentials. They have a careers, right? I'll tell you, if I was the type to pollute, which I wouldn't be. In fact, I would be beyond the requirement to keep my area clean. I wouldn't want to mess with those bastards. I'm telling you, they're very effective. Very effective. I
No,
remember.
that's what I was trying to say. That you wouldn't have any intelligent policemen in there because they'd know automatically that they're breaking the law by doing what they're doing.
Yeah, same goes for see, what the police don't realize is they're risking their lives pulling people over. I would hate to pull people over because you don't know when one of them's going to pull out a damn shotgun and take your head off your shoulders, right? They risk their lives to enforce commercial code to enrich the estates of these bar attorneys in black robes. And of course, those who
And if they
represent.
do start getting rough and tough and do get killed, there's not a goddamn leg they can stand on, and they'll get no backing from the fucking people that they're going collecting the. It's mafia henchmen. That's what they are. The mafia henchmen.
It's a mafia, exactly.
It's a mafia.
Well,
It's exactly
like I said, over here, what I hear, which should be correct, because by the way, when we had the original Constitution in effect, right away, it wasn't months before they did away with all judges above people. That was done away with. I think it was Article 11. And, and then you had the Judiciary Act also. You didn't have to follow any kind of legal procedure to do things. You could write it on toilet paper with lipstick, and then their attorneys had to deal with it. So these cops are getting lawyers rich that aren't even supposed to be judges. They're too stupid to read the Constitution and comprehend it. So when you show it to them, they still don't care. All they care about is that paycheck. Why? Because you have their higher ups. To get to be a higher up in the police department, someone is controlling them. Freemasons, what have you. That's how the fabric of the fraud across the country is woven. It's the goddamn stinking Freemasons. Anybody, I told you, I think, I was going to be a Mason years ago.
Yeah, you said
Well, I went to a great big place, a Masonic lodge that was all done in granite blocks and big building, nice, you know. And I went in there and I spent a couple of hours in there. And I started to notice that it was dark and despotic and seemed satanic to me. And I decided this is just too odd. You know, why do I want to do this and talk gibberish like that? Like they give you a language. Everything is Baphomet and Baal and they have connections, and they have special privileges compared to other people who are being trafficked into commercial entities. They get immunity from that. So the people have to snap out of it.
I mean,
really have to
yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, all the way through this, I'm trying to find, because I mean, don't forget, I woke up, I snapped out of it, right? Yeah. So if I'm no different than anybody else, absolutely no different than anybody else. I was hook, line, and sinker with the same old gift gaff all the way through. Yeah. So you know, I fell for all those things. So if I can do it, yeah, everybody else can. But what was it? I mean, with me, I wanted to find out about cancer. Yeah, because I've been talking about, and I had the time to go and do the research, and by doing that research, looking into cancer, looking into the fucking pharmaceutical industry, that was it. You know, you can't ignore. You know, once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. So I saw what was, and then it just led from pharmacy into the rest, and it's oh my god, yeah. So what is it that's gonna just twig people? Just to sit down, just give yourself, just get away from anywhere else. Just go and sit in front of something and just look at it. Because there is no red pill. There is no red pill. If we had that red pill, David, it would be easy, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be great? But the thing is, would it? You know, I suppose you can have those red pills, like you know, you can get some DMT and stuff like that, or you know, ayahuasca or, you know, mushrooms or MDMA, some form of drug that's going to open their mind up to a more open mind and to be more visual of what's going around there. But you know, then that kicks out, and then it's like back to the normal hypnotic trance that you've been put under all the way through your life. But to go and break that spell, you know, you've got to go and deprogram yourself. And the only way you can deprogram yourself is, in other words, to get those beliefs which you've thought were true all the way your life were thought were true, is go and see the actual facts that you've been lied to. You've been lied to all the way through. Right? You know, that's, you know,
I mean, yeah, all of the established institutions, including media and now social media, they're all lying and censoring everything.
they're all a
They're
part of
lying
keeping
about
the dream
everything and
alive.
censoring
There's
everything.
Bill, what was his name? Bill Hicks, you know. Oh, god damn, we've got a lot invested in this. Kill him. You know, anyone who's trying to,
Bill Hicks, the comedian,
yeah, Bill Hicks, yeah.
isn't he dead?
I hear so. I also hear he's Alex Jones now as well, but you know, who cares? You know, whatever. But he told some good stories. Same with George Carlin as well, man. Yeah.
You know, your rumors are hard to check up on. You know, I hear this. Here's a rumor that's going around. Here, no one knows, of course not. But the rumor was that Hillary Clinton put a hit contract to kill JFK Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is why they say that fake plane crash was fake. And he's out there somewhere. He's alive. He had a great magazine called George.
Mhm.
Yeah. And he was exposing only everything. Now, I've seen photos of him. I didn't really know much about him. And I saw a video on YouTube, and it was one of the rare appearances he made on television on Jay Leno show. And he came out onto the stage when they announced the mystery guest. And he walked out. And for the first time, I've seen him talk. And he came out and he sat down next to Jerry Seinfeld. And you got to see his personality, his expressions, what have you. And he was very different than I had imagined him to be. Because all you can do is guess when you're imagining someone's personality type. It turns out he was pretty quick-witted, very polite, and very colorful. And it was something to see because JFK, his father, used to campaign at my house where I lived because when he was running for senator, because my grandfather was kind of like a very big social Italian man. And he sponsored a lot of people and got other people to help sponsor a lot of Italians to come here. And so back then, in an Irish community, when Boston was largely Irish and English, and then of course Italian, they all were interrelated somehow between being Catholic or something similar to that. So if you were going to win an election as a senator, you had to have the Italian vote. And my grandfather and grandmother really liked JFK. And everybody got to know him because of that, my whole family. And he was really a likable guy. I hear a lot of things about his private life, but then again, who's perfect? I don't think he ever harmed anybody.
Exactly.
Yeah, and he was a kind of a star in the eyes of the Irish and the Italians in the Boston area. Yeah. So of course, when he got killed, his kid, John, he kind of got nicknamed, was standing there saluting the casket with the flag over it. Just a little tyke. And then, you know, he did what he did for as he lived his life. And everybody liked the family, you know. They really liked the family. It wasn't some kind of dumb thing.
Yeah. Well, they can't like his speeches, man. They can't like his speeches. You know? And his brother done the same too. You know?
Well, he pissed off a lot of people when he was in office
Yeah.
and got them killed. And he
Oh,
was,
anybody
you know what I think happened? He got into office. This is my belief, and it's based upon things that I've heard from people who knew him and my ability to put pieces together. Boy, that's a squeaky chair for this recording. I think that when he got into office and saw what was happening, he realized that this place was in a lot of trouble. And he tried to fix it. He did a number of things. It wasn't just one thing that got him into trouble.
No, he went over to see that. He went over to see Mr. Sino as well for the return of the gold. That was the Swiss Hindu. That's what the Swiss Hindu is now.
I'm surprised after all these years that the general population doesn't really know about that.
I know, isn't it?
It's fascinating to me.
Well, it just shows you. I mean, something that basically got him killed. Definitely, that was definitely one part of it.
That was one big part of it.
One major. Because this is what I'm trying to say. You know, if people just realised, just say if there was a solar flash now, and everybody realised what money's value is, and tomorrow they'll stop accepting it. Yeah, imagine what would happen. So, in the same sense as if you brought back the gold, and now there was a change of money, and only the people working in that was of the good side. Yeah, all the people that are doing bad, they would become skint overnight because everyone would only accept.
It's so hard to imagine why they don't wake up to it.
Because of
they love their debt instrument.
No, it's because of the programming, because they don't understand it. Nobody in their right mind would not go for it. Therefore, as it states, people are not in the right mind. What was that? I'm going to read that. I'm going to read you a piece out because it was brilliant.
While you're looking for that, I have a question for you.
Go on then.
Right? You grew up in the same world as I did.
Mhm.
I grew up in the same world as these people. How come we're onto it and they're not?
Because they haven't looked.
I got news for you. I've experimented with that one.
Yeah.
I'll give them the information on a silver platter.
Yeah, but they won't. Yeah, but you can give it. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink it. You can put information.
What's wrong with them?
Can't make them read it.
What's wrong with them? As someone described, you have a belief system and you have facts.
Yeah.
The facts destroy the belief system.
Yeah.
So when they hear that they thought something that's really stupid as a fact, then they realize that just about everything they think is a fact is just a belief system. It's bullshit. So what ends up happening is there's a very common problem. We have a real pandemic. It's called cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
They don't want to learn new information. They have no interest. Damn that squeak.
Well, this saying here, it's only a short piece. This little piece here explains it to a T. So listen to this. When the media controls the information you see, they control what you believe. When they control what you believe, they control your mind.
When they control your mind, they control your emotions. When they control your emotions, they control your actions. When they control your actions, you are no longer in control. When you are when you are not in control, you are not yourself. When you are not yourself, they have won. Now, you're asking me why it happens. So the reason why is because they are not themselves. And meaning, like you're saying that the belief, you're saying about the belief. So I mean, it's like I'm going back now, talk about that, and I'll talk about myself. Now, before I went and did my own research and took back, as Bob Marley stated, emancipate yourself from the mental slavery. So when I went and did my own research and saw for myself the truth, which remember, truth is an opinion, right? Yeah. The truth was that I would been told. When I saw the facts, the facts, tell the truth. The facts tell what's true. So your opinion changes, like you were saying, like, why can people, people's opinions change, but they won't change until they see the facts. And I put a post on the other day, actually, stating, that what needs to do, the only way, right, that we're going to deprogram the people that are programmed is by taking control of what programmed them in the first place and reprogram them with the facts. Because once they see the facts on the television, it's game over. Yeah, it's game over. So, why are we not taking out the media companies spreading their lies and propaganda? Because they can do, because they have a license to lie to you. Yeah.
Well, over here they actually do have a license, because where this is a state of war.
Yep.
They have the ability in a military occupation to project propaganda to the people.
Correct. Absolutely 100%. And that's verifiable and been proven and been exposed. But the point is, even though that's been proven, exposed, and shown to be fucking 100% fact, the people still believe what they see on the television, even knowing that they have got every right to lie to you. And all those things like 9/11, 7/7, and everything else was just a staged event, just like watching Coronation. Listen, you can go to the pub, Dave, right? Yeah. Listen, in England, right? Yeah. I don't know what you've got over there in America. And I'm only going back a few years. Even now, when people come over to where I am in Greece, and they come and I'm not kidding you, mate. They talk about Coronation as though it's the truth.
Coronation
Street. It's a series. It's a series. Like, it comes on every night for half an hour or whatever it is. Yeah, it's an omnispun of the weekend. Basically, it's a series, but it's a world within inside of it. It's like Truman's Story, man. Have you seen the Truman Story? You never seen the film, The Truman? Oh,
talking about President Truman?
Yeah, Truman. I'll tell you who plays it. 1 second, him out of.
He's the one that allowed the atomic bombs to be dropped on Japan.
Well, yeah, but it's not about him. It's about, right, yeah. I believe it was. I don't know, but something's telling me. So whether it's true or not, it was a Rothschild that wrote the story.
Oh boy.
Okay. And I'm not kidding you, yeah. I'm not kidding you, and I believe it because I can perceive that's exactly because he's telling you the story about the people of these secret societies that are born into a world that's controlled. And that was basically what the Truman was all about. Truman was not aware that the world that he was living in was a whole stage. And the Truman story was about a man with inside what his world, but all the world was the actors. And he was just the one that wasn't aware of it. And the people outside in the other world, they were watching it on the television as a show, as a series, just like on Coronation Street. So basically, it was it exposed to the people what's actually going on, really, because everyone in the courts, the government, everyone, they're all actors, and the world's a whole stage, and you're in that fucking show. And the piss take gets even better, doesn't it? Because they call you the person, yeah. Well, what's the person? an actor's mask. It's an actor's mask.
The mask.
Yeah.
The fiction.
So all the people, yeah, that haven't twigged that they're actually a man or a woman, and they go around believing that they're this piece of paper. They've labelled themselves with a piece of paper that was created with Crown copyright on it, and they use these documents, yeah, to create their identification, like passports and driving licenses, and they show their passports and driving licenses as though they're the fucking passport, but the birth certificate was made to the placenta, as you know, which was called the decedent, which is the dead man. So they all were walking around.
Decedent means dying.
Yeah, well, they're walking. We was
Well,
walking.
you know who left
again.
the black foot. You know
Again,
who
I
left
put
the
it-
black
I put it-
footprints in the back of the birth certificate? It wasn't a dead guy. It was a dying guy. And you know who that was?
Yeah,
It was the placenta.
It's the placenta, the
It
decedent.
was the placenta.
Yeah, yeah, and
It was
the
the inner
thing-
placenta.
but the thing is, if
Outside
you didn't
placenta
know
is
that,
mom. The outer placenta is mom. The inner placenta is you.
the Immaculate Conception.
Yeah,
It's the
exactly.
Immaculate
They're
Conception.
all immaculate.
Whatever, everybody has got a woman twin, a female twin. Everyone on this planet, yeah, that was born naturally through another woman or a man, yeah, through a woman, yeah, on a natural birth. Every natural birth then, therefore, has a twin sister. Yeah, because it's got to be a sister because it's only of the mother. Because the placenta is only of the mother, yeah, whereas you are of the mother and the father. And everyone, and that's, I mean, you can see how they've done it though. It's brilliant, and people can't grasp that. So they'll walk around, and I keep saying, you do know that you're identifying yourself as a dead man when you show your passport. You're not the passport. You're not the name that's on that passport neither, and you've got no right to use it. And because you're using it, you're breaking the law that they can now get you done for.
Well, you can use it if you claim it.
Well,
You have to claim it.
For those people that are using it without knowing how to use it correctly and by taking control of it, those people that are using it as their identity because they haven't twigged on the deception are just hanging themselves. So, like I say, this is the thing I say to everyone. If you want to know what the problem is, yeah, right? Because the same problem is the same solution. So go and look in the mirror. And it depends who's staring you back as to whether you're going to succeed or whether you're going to fail. Because if you're going to just see the person you are without seeing that that's the one that's causing all the damage to yourself, you by opening your mouth, you by answering to the dead, you know, that's why they raise you in this, they summons you to court, and you know, it's in your face. They're telling you in the face, just like the film Wizard of Oz Day. You know?
Oh, yeah. Most people have no idea what that film means.
I know.
As many times as they've watched it.
But
Some
if
people
they did,
watch it in their lifetime 20, 30 times. And
Yeah,
they
but-
still
but
don't
they
know
need-
what it means.
you need it. You know what I mean? I think somebody I saw one once, or certainly certainly someone wrote the story in the reality of what was going on, what the story behind the story was. Yeah. In other words, what was really being told to you, because that was another thing that I picked up on when someone said about the public information films. Now you see, Dave, the young uns today, you don't get public information films anymore. But of my day, yeah, and I don't know about you in America, you must remember there used to be public information films. Even if there was just stupid ones like in ours, there was a one, Meet Dave. He swims like a fish on how to swim and how to not to go too close to the water and stuff like that. And there was other ones about farms, like going over the fence, and there's a red-faced farmer jumping up and down. Hey, look, Mildred, what's up? And it was because they'd left the gate open. And it says, like, you know, when you're in the country, make sure you please shut the gates behind you. You know, there's animals going there, blah blah blah. Those were public information films, but they stopped. And now they put the public information in the films. So the information inside the Wizard of Oz tells you, job done, you're okay now. Now you're awake, yeah? Because we've just told you how to be a living man or woman on this planet, yeah? Because we've explained to you how we tricked you. We told you with the straw man. We told you with the tin man, your tax identification number. We told you that, you know. So that's the public information that people aren't, you know, seeing, perceiving, should I say?
once they perceive that, do you think they would do? Right then, Dave. As another question would be then, would it be possible for somebody that realised how they'd been deceived, and that to use the birth certificate would be to hang themselves because there was preparatory necromancy? Do you think there's possibility that somebody knows that would go and use their passport to identify themselves or their driving license or any form of or let's say their birth certificate? Would you think any of them would use their birth certificate to identify themselves?
Well, a birth certificate and a certificate of live birth, because
Okay, then, yeah. Okay, good point to make. Good point to make. Okay, then I should have been more defined. I do apologize. I should have been more defined. Let me just. So we'll talk about it after.
You made no error.
I didn't say which birth certificate.
That's fine. And
yeah, I should have said the one that says on it not to use your identification.
Yeah, but then there's the social security card.
Yeah,
it's also not your identification.
Yeah, your national insurance number.
So what the problem is even though it says so, they still use it as ID. Okay. Now, when I leave the house and I walk out of here, if you think I carry a license or a social security card, I got news for you. Ain't happening. Well, where's your ID? I don't carry ID. Well, why not? Well, I'm not in Moscow. Okay. And if I had an ID, I'd have to carry something else, like a C-Pass maybe, or a photograph of myself with my thumbprint on it. I think that would be a good ID.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean that you could do that quite easily, like just with a little sign declare who you are, really.
Well,
especially if you've got
what's happening is the real way to identify yourself is to bring in two witnesses.
Yeah.
Hi. Yeah. Can you tell them who I am? Yeah, you're David.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what's your last name? I don't have a last name. I'm not dead. Well, where do you live? In my body. Oh, no. What's your address? I don't have an address. I'm not a corporation. Oh, yeah, this is being. Where do you sleep? In a bed. Yeah. So that's what it is the cops are so trained to extract bullshit that they actually believe it, see?
But it's not just bullshit, is it, David? That's the point. The point
well,
is,
when
you answer to those questions, you're hanging yourself. But if you don't know how to answer those questions, then, well, let's put it this way. You will answer it the way you answer it because you know why you wouldn't answer it the other way. Yeah, because you get yourself into trouble. But the people go and answer because they don't realize they're getting themselves into trouble by speaking to it. You know what I mean? As what did Tracy Renoa, I mean, you got to class that one beautiful thing that she stated because it was truth as that was the truth. Yeah. She said about John when he was in there, because John's trying to explain to a psychiatrist, what he's exposing, which would massively go beyond this guy's ever brain cells to even contemplate it actually happening. So therefore, he's going to say he's grand delusional, even if he's not being paid.
He gave the stick to a friggin' F-15 fighter jet to a 5-year-old.
Absolutely, yeah.
You can't do that. You can't be done.
No, because you do. Because you think that they're going to listen. But the point is, and that's what I was trying to say to John. John, you're there because that guy's in on it. He's not going to let you go because you're telling him stuff. By telling him stuff, he's going to be able to keep you. If you'd have shut up, there was nothing he could have done. Right, that's what we're trying to say. And Tracy said, for $10, you could have got some duct tape. And that was the truth. Because if it had said nothing, there was nothing they could do.
Things are just enough different over there so that I can't completely comprehend it. But I hear, although John's on New Zealand, or I forget the name.
It's the same. Ultimately, it's the same anywhere. If there's right, what's correct, what the facts are the facts. Whether they're in New Zealand, America, or England, anywhere, it's all the same, really. The difference between law and the colour of law. The difference between what you've contracted with and what you haven't contracted with, what applies to you and what doesn't apply to you. It's going to be the same in all the countries.
Yeah, but they're enough different so that I don't completely comprehend what happens over there. I do hear
Yeah, the process
that,
of it.
that Australia is getting really sick of, of their government.
Well, in Australia, in fact, in Australia, if you think about it, they did the same with John Winoa, as they did with Carol Woods. The only difference was they had to use a fake counterfeit warrant for Carol Woods because she wouldn't go along with him. But John, he went along with him because he thought that they was telling the truth, and he walked him straight into a mental health fucking trap. It was a kidnap, that was, and a lie, and this, it was, that was because John had already caught that copper out. And do you know what, that copper that did that, Brett Shields that did that, yeah, he was taking the position of the other copper that John had got on his vest, which was the head of the CIB, the Criminal Investigation Bureau, which was Philip Taylor. And Philip Taylor had got on his yellow jacket with a £1 million lien against him for the crimes that he was committing by stopping him from taking Cook Street back. Yeah, because he'd proven them right. He couldn't do nothing about it. Philip Taylor couldn't do a damn thing about it.
I hope he accomplishes that mission somehow, some way.
Well, he's got to, man. Yeah.
Too much time has passed.
He's more than worthy of it for the work that he's done and for the knowledge that he put out for the people to know.
Just
gave his whole life up for that.
Mind. Something just came to mind.
So
I know someone. I said something just came to mind.
Okay.
I know someone, a naturopathic doctor, and a really brilliant woman, truly brilliant. She not only does she know that stuff, she knows a lot of the stuff that you and I are talking about. She used to have a regular YouTube talk show called Our Natural Rights. I think John should contact her so she can detox his brain. Yeah. See, detoxing the brain is difficult because it has a blood-brain barrier.
Yeah.
Okay. I think she knows what to do. She's taken people that were going to be condemned to death. They're going to die. And not only help them, but got them out of the hospital. Very, very brilliant girl.
Well, if you know our body, I mean, this is it. There's some.
What I'm going to do, hang on. I'm going to send you her name and her contact information so that, and then what I'll do is I'll have a talk with her because I'm going to tell her more about John than John will. and she trusts me because, well, I'm not into BSing. I am in humor. I can BS like nobody when I'm being humorous, but in reality, I am. My feet are stuck on the ground because of that thing called gravity. So, she needs to hear about John Winoa, and I'd like to. I'm not mentioning her name now because I don't know, only because I don't have her permission. Yeah. I mean, she might even benefit from me mentioning her name, but I have to get her permission first. I'm like that. Like, if you tell me something in confidence, I don't repeat it to other people. That's how it works. And so I think she can help John because the brain is 80% fatty tissue.
Yeah, I mean, sulfur's one very good detoxifier, and it crosses the membrane, and it sulfates heavy metals. So I know that was one very, and I've told John to get on it, but I don't know whether he's on it or not. But that's one very good thing that will detoxify you. Yeah, logical. I listened to Patrick McGee. Was it McGee? Yeah, Patrick McGee. He's no longer with us, bless him, but he was a top guy. He was. I'm pretty well, I think he would have been a very fit and healthy guy, but apparently he died of a heart attack. But I don't trust. I mean, I know what he was doing would have got him killed. He was exposing the doctors. He was exposing the vaccines. He was exposing all of it. And he was very, very loud about it.
about having doctors hung off lampposts and whatever because of what they're doing, with the vaccines. So he may well have been taken out, bless him, but he was a top guy. But that's the sulfur. That's why I take the sulfur as well. You know what I mean? And I recommend it. It's meant it also because he was Patrick McGee was an optician, a person that looked microscope for looking into eyes. He was the telescope. Look similar, same thing like telescope. Whatever. He used to look into their eyes. Anyway. Right?
What does he look at?
The right into the eye and sees.
Oh, there are opticians.
Yeah, but he wasn't.
Then there are ophthalmologists. There's the three basic categories there.
Well, it would have been one of them anyway. It would have been in one of them.
Would have been one of those.
I don't know which one it was, but anyway, he looked into eyes, yeah, and he could see that there was damages in the eyes, scar tissues and things like that. And he said, and that's why he was telling you about sulfur, because he saw that the scar tissue disappeared when there was
sulfur.
Yeah, it repairs the body. It repairs the structure of the body. So
you know what I want to do? You know those little, when you look at the white ceiling, you see those little floaties going by and by.
Yeah.
I want to get rid of those bastards.
I don't know whether to get rid of them. I don't know what, but there'll be something. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Get rid of them. You goddamn things. They distract me. Why? Because a lot of the times when I'm online, I'm lying down in the bed. Believe it or not, I'm up all night. There's something wrong with me. I don't sleep as much as I should. But then it's probably because I'm too busy thinking of things. And then when I look up, I see these things, and they drive me friggin' crazy. I want to get rid of them. My diet is pretty good. It's not like I eat a bunch of junk. You know, I don't eat processed food. I do not eat processed food, and I stay away from carbohydrates. I'll eat fat, yeah, but if something's really super GMO, I avoid that like the plague. But this guy that you're talking about that looks into the eye, and he says sulfur. I'm going to remember that. I have to find a good way to take sulfur without hurting myself, right?
Oh no, it's sulfur's. It's natural sulfur. It's what's out of pine trees. The sulfur's in the pine. It would normally be in your food, but because of he used to say because of rocket with the what's it? Eh?
That's turpentine.
No.
That comes from a pine tree.
It possibly does. Turpentine might be something similar to it then, but pine the sulfur. Yeah. Do you know what DMSO is? You ever heard of DMSO?
CMSO.
D Delta.
MSO.
Yeah. D Delta Mike.
I don't recall ever hearing that. No.
Well, there was a 60 minutes program on it because the FDA banned it, right? The FDA banned it.
Oh, you mean the guys that want to protect us and make sure we live?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, so I mean, well, the FDA turned it from the AMA. I saw, and anybody who doesn't go in and have a look at what they did to Royal Raymond Rife, you don't know nothing yet about why doctors are still there, because Royal Raymond Rife built a machine that would destroy all the doctors' jobs, and they destroyed.
They're selling Rife equipment online now.
Oh, people knew what he had done, and they never allowed it to go to. They never allowed it to die. And I've got one of the machines. Anybody who does, he should be more famous than he should, as far as I'm concerned. He cracked the hospitals and doctors' codes. They're there to make you bad. He proved that you can make everyone fucking healthy and regardless. And they killed him because they was going to lose their jobs. Well, they didn't kill him. They did kill him. They didn't physically kill him. They did kill him. They destroyed him. They stole.
Did you hear of red light therapy?
Yeah, he also in the 1930s he built a microscope that you could actually see the bacteria.
or they say viruses, but they're not viruses there. But you know, the cancerous, whatever was causing the cancer in the body, or what type of cancer it was, he could see what there was like, what it was, and what he did was he basically he hit it with light. Light is a frequency, and when he hit the right pattern of light to illuminate it, yeah, so that he could see it in his microscope, he found out what frequency it vibrated at, what it resonated at. And all he did was hit it just like a glass, ding, you know, and then the glass smashes. He did exactly the same with whatever it was inside you. So there was nothing.
Up the cells.
There was nothing that can come in your body that couldn't be killed by a frequency, and game over. And the doctors realized, and the guy said, like, you know, because he cured cancer. He took in 16 patients, yeah, that was terminally ill, kicked out, you're dead and goodbye, you're not going to live. And they've gone in with these big tumours and all this lot, and he put them on that machine for 3 minutes a day, drinking loads of water, so that they flushed all the shit out, because he broke it down slowly. And in I think it was 12 weeks, and then another 12 weeks, they cured 12 of them, and in another 4 weeks or something like that, they cured the other 4. All 16 people walked out at their hospital cancer-free within less than 4 months, all cancer-free. It was phenomenal what he'd done.
Well, I think that's going to come back. That's part of what we were going to talk about. The things that are going to happen now.
Yeah.
The international banking cabal / mafia, I think, is going to crumble. I think it's time, and that's one of the reasons why they wanted to get rid of Trump. They took last Saturday yet another attempt on his life, which caused him to. He signed the Insurrection Act, so I just wish I could reach into a filing cabinet and get these things out to prove it. But a lot of things are going to change if people are not acting properly, meaning responsible to the people, because the people are supposed to be in charge, and that's what's going to happen. So
the thing is, I mean, what you're saying there, what you're saying is basically it's on something that can now take out anybody that's any one of them. But the point is, yeah, he's not going to be able to do this, even if he was there to do what he was doing. It's the people. Unless the people demand it, yeah, then it's gonna wash. But I mean, in a sense, the point is this. I mean, that's what even when was going through all our things like about talking with kings and all this sort, with what John was bringing back, you know, John was never saying that he wanted a kingdom. You know, so I said that's up to the people. It's not about because you're all kings and queens. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day,
that's what it is. It's the people rule, not these individual bloodlines. So,
but there's more of us than them. That's the thing. You know, why we're allowed? They're only kings because they're being king and we're not. You know, once we become king, we're all equals. Yeah, and they drift off because they've got no power. The only power they've got is by subjugating. You know, by us believing they had any power. You know, their only power is what we give them by consent. Whether we give it by consent or whether we give it by what's the word? Acquiescence. Whether we give it by acquiescence or we give it by consent, it's the same thing. They're taking it. They'll take it either way. You know?
Well, it takes an evil person to take it, so we have to get rid of them. That's what it is. We have to get rid of
those are the ones that have got to take it. I mean, that's the thing.
Well, if I want to come into your home and take you, and then take your stuff, and then take your money, I'm an asshole if I do that.
Yeah, but I'll be an asshole if I let you.
That's true, but if I come in with a half dozen thugs to subdue you and throw you into a corner and handcuff you and then take your stuff, I
Absolutely,
am
yeah.
just as much to blame as the thugs.
No,
Right?
no. What point is here? It doesn't end there. Yeah. If they come and overpower you and do that's okay. But there's going to be a point in time when you're free to get the pick up, which is the most mightiest sword of all, as you would do. Yeah. And that's when you're going to go and hit them where it really, really hurts them. A damn sight more than a little bit of a ruffle.
Well, you got the carotid artery and you got the jugular vein.
I'm not talking about sticking the pen in them. But you know what I mean. I mean, the thing is, again, like you was talking earlier, about things being cast. If there's, it's not that it can't be done. It's just that you don't know how to do the damn thing. That's all. But once you're finding the people that if we find people that can do it, it's game over. Thank you, because the way they make
Really not hard here. I don't know about over there, but over here it's not hard. You got plenty of people who are willing to get out there with battle axes.
yeah, you've got that still in America. I'll give you that.
We have it over here.
Yeah. You've got. I mean, that's again. That's community again. That's why I love Greece. Greece, unfortunately, they're not.
Well, what
They're
needs
seeing.
to
They're buying. They're buying the.
I think Donald Trump is going to get control of the media.
That's
Because
it. Over.
I think it's going to be easy. All he has to do now is get the military to go into the major network news stations and tell them you're out.
Actually, you're saying about take control of the media. I mean, in England, say, I don't know what about in America. Who is it that governs your media? Like in England, right? Yeah.
Well, who governs the media
Ofcom.
here? All media here is governed and controlled by 6 corporations.
No. Who? Not who owns it. What I'm saying is, on let's say BBC, right? If BBC was to report lies and have been proven to be lies, yeah, someone would make the complaint to Ofcom, yeah, and then Ofcom, yeah, governs what that's being put out, yeah, and if they're putting the wrong stuff out, they'll get in trouble, yeah, allegedly, and I'll state that bigly because the people that own Ofcom, that should be the people, by the way, it should be the people, yeah, they should be the ones that's controlling it. There shouldn't be any funding in that. No one should be getting paid anything. It should be paid by the people, yeah, because the people want the genuine truth coming to them. So if anybody starts reporting lies, yeah, you can get them done. But when you phone up Ofcom to get the BBC done for the lies and for them failing to give you evidence, because BBC was given, on the 1st of March 2015, and again on the 1st of March 2016, yeah, the information about 788, 790 Finchley Road, and they promised that they would put it out. Yeah, they promised that they'd put it out. So and still on the phone calls, they still haven't put it out. So when we put a complaint into the Ofcom then tells us, yeah, what we would have thought was a publicly owned corporation that controls and governs what put out on the BBC. What actually happened is that actually no, they're no longer publicly owned. They're controlled by stakeholders, and the stakeholders that own it, yeah, are in the BBC. So that's why they wouldn't get them done, because they own the damn thing that governs them. So if Trump takes back,
that's what needs to be changed.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. In America, what in America is you must have something the same.
Yeah, it's called PBS. It's called PBS, Public Broadcasting System.
Right. Well, that's who Trump needs to take over. That's who he needs to take.
That's going to happen. It's not going to be Trump taking over. It's going to be the military.
That's what the military needs.
We're under martial law rule.
Hang on. We're staying in the military. Hang on. I'm going to take that back. That's what the people have got to take back.
What I need to do is to send you some of my sources for information. And some of them, not all of them, but I think you'll benefit from them. And then you'll see what's happening here and what people here are thinking. And the people in England and I don't call it the UK. It's England, and they need to see what's happening, because we don't want them to be in the dark. All right, which they shouldn't be. You know, I got to know, of all the times I've talked with all the people from England in these group calls and Zoom, I've gotten to really like the people. They're just good people, just nice, wonderful people. And it's good that it worked out like that, because it made life better. It made life much better, because they were all really nice people. So what I want to do is give them more information, and I know they look to you for information, as they should. There are many people out there that are very unfriendly to Americans, and there are many people out there who are friendly to Americans. Like a little while ago, you asked me, is Trump really trustworthy, or is he not? Well, the only way I can answer that question is to repeat what I've heard from people who know him. And I will say this, and it's on record here. There's an attorney who's a very odd attorney. He's not like most of them. His name is Lin Wood, LINWOOD. And he nails it. Okay. He's very Christian. And then there is Sidney Powell, SYDNEY POWELL. And she's a military attorney, which is the only place they belong, really, is in military tribunals. Because, there's going to be a transition, no longer the usual admiralty law, unless you're in the military.
Or a king's bench. I say
And
military or a king's bench.
Well, they really stick up for Trump. They're the ones who stuck their necks in the nooses and have death threats and all that, which really is something good for Trump to see, because now I'm not making Trump out to be a god. He isn't. In fact, I always was wondering, should I trust him? Should I not? But as it turns out, they say, and other people who know him, that he loves his country and his children, and he wants to see all of us do well and prosper and live with our rights. So I'm hearing the things that prick my ears. I'm hearing it. And that's one good source of information. Other sources.
I mean, to be truthful, to be truthful, I'm not interested who's in there, as long as whoever's in there knows that they're a servant to the people. If they're not in there and a servant to the people, if they're in there and a servant to their masters, I'm not interested in them being in there. And whoever does go in there better be held himself accountable for what he's doing, because he should do, and he should do the right thing for the people. So I mean, if Trump's going to be that man to do that, I've not seen enough to say that he is.
What I think he's outsmarting everybody. Now his son-in-law, Jared.
When you get to a position like that, I ask you, would you have gone along with the lies, or would you have told the truth? If you'd have got yourself to that position, David, what would you be saying?
Differently, of course.
I mean, if you're going to say, would you say you'd be bothered whether they're going to assassinate you? You'd make sure you'd got your own little team around you, to get the message out there. You would make sure that they did it. If not, because you've got the power to put the military on them, because you're now speaking for the people.
Well,
I'm sure the people would get behind you.
You
Well,
imagine now if they,
The,
if they
the
did
guy
that.
that was in the Oval Office during some meetings, forget his name, and that's embarrassing, but I've only seen him talk a few times on videos, so I'll have to cut myself a little slack. He's in there with his advisors, Trump is with his advisors, and his advisors are giving him bullshit advice, and they're basically bar attorneys.
He's got a mind of his own, though, mate. That's what I'm trying to say. If you're
Well,
in a
yeah.
position
So what
that-
he's doing
the only
is
minds that he should be taking, the only information that he should be taking, he should be taking it from the people too, not from his advisors. He should be taking it from the advisors, which are the
good
people.
information from bad advisors.
Yeah,
Bad
but he can sit there and
will always
work it
tell
out.
you- Bad advisors will always tell you the opposite of what
Tell
the
you what,
good
Dave.
advice is.
I'll tell you what, Dave, I've got a point then to make. I've got a point to make. Yeah, then. You can't say that we didn't get them flags to him. Get the flag and get the information about the flag to Trump. He had that information, yeah. So he knows that flag. That flag, yeah, was in the correct hands, which is the people's. Yeah. If that flag was put in the people's hands, you've already got a flag that's captured the world and brought it to a rule, yeah, that we can all live by, which is God's spirit law. There's the flag. It's got safe passage for everyone to travel in the world, yeah, with their rights. It's there, all the constitution, everything's in it. Why wouldn't you use it? Why wouldn't you bring that out and save the people of the world? Just like, yeah.
There's a reason for it now.
And there's one other thing, yeah. One other question I'd like to ask Trump, if you're there listening to this, Mr. Trump. Yeah. First of all, I'd like to know why you didn't pay to any of our attention to what we was doing for that flag, or at least give us an answer. If you were saying it was nonsense, then you should have said it's absolute nonsense, but you never came back to it. And the other thing is this: if Swiss Hindu was tried to be given back by John F. Kennedy, yeah, why haven't you done it now? Because you would take out all the banks, you'd remove all the fiat currency, and you'd be able to put in everybody's hands money that was backed by gold.
All I can tell you is I've learned.
Pardon?
I see the thing that's interesting here is I agree with you, but then what I did was I found out a few things over the last 2 months, which caused me to do an about face. See, I always said, what's he waiting for? What's he waiting for? Why not this? Why not that? What is he doing? I was very impatient with him, extremely and critical. So then I find out from the people who know him that what he did was he waited until the last minute. And he knew something that we didn't know. And I talked about it a little while ago. In July of 2012, 20, they created the new republic. So we know that the United States is defunct. It's post-liquidation corporation. It was created as a corporation on the District of Columbia. Okay? It's dead. È morta. Gone. See you later. Right? So who brought Trump in was the military. He didn't run because he wanted to run to be president. The military asked him to come in because he knows how to handle a business. And the military knows the United States is a corporation. The District of Columbia Organic Act of 1871 created the last corporation that we're dealing with now. So what has happened is the District of Columbia is now a FEMA camp. It's all walled off and fenced in. So Joe Biden took an oath at 10 minutes before 12, which he wasn't supposed to do.
Quit poking.
At 10 minutes before 12, and he took an oath to a corporation that's defunct. And it exists only on the Bank of New York Mellon at 225 Liberty Street. The corporation has jurisdiction over the District of Columbia because it's a military occupation. That's what it is.
Yeah, Anna explains it very well.
Yeah, she's another one.
So what's
What's happening is Trump knows a lot of shit because of the military that most people don't know. So what he did was he waited until the last minute.
So let me put it in. Can I just add this then to a little thought that if this is correct, then just to add, they were saying about Trump building the fence.
Yeah, a lot about that.
Right. Yeah. Well, have they not just done it then?
Well, the fence, by the way, about the fence, there's a huge.
What I'm saying is, has Trump not succeeded and got his wall built, and now he's wrapped it round Washington DC? Then, if that's the case, and the Republic will start outer, and the people will be the Republic, and they could just switch the power off, power grid off to Washington DC, and cut all mail and everything going out, and lock them, hide them from the people, and tell the people, yeah, it could do.
By the way, the numbers are misrepresented. There are 65,000 military personnel there. 65,000.
Well, we know it's martial law anyway. That's why.
That's
why I say about the sea pass. But
there's more. The underground tunnels are completely destroyed.
Yeah, but do we know that? Have we got facts on that?
Well, there's seismic activity there. That's what I do.
We haven't got fact. I know it sounds too. It's something when some sounds something too good to be true. I mean, it's just I'm not saying it hasn't happened.
I agree with you, though. I don't disagree with you. I need to see it.
Yeah,
that's what I want to do.
Where's the children and where's the you see why isn't it? Yeah, it's to control the media.
You know what? I should bring this up. Web pages. Patriot Street Fighter. And then Charlie Ward. WARD.
I've got issues with Charlie.
That's fine. But he's Andy, let me tell you something.
I've only got an issue with Charlie because he didn't. It's not a bad issue. I'm not saying whether he's good or bad. I'm just saying I asked him a question.
I'm not going there.
Yeah, okay.
I've investigated. Because of failure analysis with spaceflight hardware, I'm also a forensic fraud investigator. The people that deceive you are your best sources for information. Because they tell you the opposite of what's the truth, and the stuff that they leave out is extremely important. So if someone is good, bad, or indifferent, I need to listen to all. I listen to all of it. I listen to the good guys, the bad guys, the in-between guys, the deceivers, you name it. I hear it all. I listen to it all. And I get what I get. As long as I'm alive, hopefully, and I'm alive, I'm living, my brain functions really well. I trust nothing, not because I don't trust them, but because they can't be trusted. So I need to hear all of it. You don't dig through a mountain of gold to get to a bucket of dirt. You dig through a bucket of a mountain of dirt to get to a bucket of gold. So I want to hear it all. And I use my brain to figure out what's the truth or not. So I'm listening to all this stuff that I can't prove. Some of it I can. And it's in line with that which I can.
Yeah.
So what I'm telling you is there are people who are spreading bullshit, but it's easy to figure out who they are. Okay? Mainstream media is full of shit. Now, I don't like Democrats. For those of you who are listening, you have over here the Democrats and the Republicans. The Democrats are absolute jackasses. You have a spectrum. On the spectrum, you have dumbasses and brilliant people.
They're out to destroy the republic.
Yeah. The dumbasses are out to destroy the republic, which will destroy themselves, the dumbasses if they are.
Yeah.
So what you have to do is listen to both sides. I don't want to hear Democrats, but I'll listen to them. Okay.
I've heard all sides now, yeah. But I mean, I'm centre. I am. I mean, I wouldn't class. You know, I mean, that's like calling them. You know, I wouldn't give them because you can't say Democrats. You know, because they're not all the same. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't label them, should I say? I think it's wrong to label.
Over here you can.
Yeah?
Over here you can. I don't know about England.
Well, if they've labelled themselves, then you can only label them, or if you can only call them out if they're going to if they label themselves. I've never been, you know, in England they've got Conservative and Labour. Yeah, me, I'm like, yeah, he says some good things like that. We know they'll never happen. And hang on, over this side, they say some good things. Why have we got a division? I'm not. Well, it doesn't compute to me. So you know, I'm sure the Democrats will say good, and the Republic will say good things. You know what I mean, why have you got why is there a two-sided party here? You know, there should be a party of the people, shouldn't there?
Well, your political system where you grew up in England is very different from ours. It might seem similar, but it isn't.
They're just two sides of the same coin.
Exactly, it's two wings of the same bird.
Well, yeah, but
because the thing is, the people
it's
should
a
be
different coin here.
but the government's in control of the people because the government's a
It's not the
corporation.
same coin, though, Andy. Over here, you have Democrats and Republicans, and they each have two parts. The Democrats are extreme communists and unions, gays, and
That's just the division, isn't it? That's the labeling division.
and
Everyone, I mean, I take the one. I always have taken the one. I'm not going to vote for any fucker if he's got a load half right, half wrong, and the other side go, I vote for me. I vote for my legs.
yeah.
Legs support me.
Over here, the Republicans are rhinos. Republicans in name only because they ran as Republicans, and then you have the conservatives. Now over here, conservative has a different meaning than it has in England. Mm-hmm. Over here, a conservative is one who sticks like glue to the law, the constitutions. One is the state, and one is the United States of America. You don't have the same thing. A conservative over there in England is sort of like what it seems to us is half sticking to the law and the other half sticking to a monarchy slash parliament. It's not the same. It's a very different thing there in England.
Well, the
you have
Constitution,
more of a
the
similarity
Constitution-
there with Canada than you do with us.
Yeah, well,
Canada-
I say this in England, right? Yeah, this is my perception of what's going down in England. Yeah, how it should be is meant to what it's meant to be is the Queen's meant to there holding the Constitution. Yeah, she's sworn the coronation oath. Yeah, so therefore that is basically like your Constitution and what law should be. The difference between law, yeah, God's law. That's what she's meant to stand up for. Yeah, your Parliament, yeah, this. I mean. We can. I'm talking about how it should be, yeah, which is separate from the Parliament, yeah, and they're doing on the corporate side of things. They're doing on the corporate side of things. So if Conservative in America then shouldn't be bothering with any of the corporate rules, any of the rules and regulations, any of the acts and statutes. They're not a part. They should be in the law.
Well, they can protect corporations, but the corporations have to also follow the law. That's the difference. The corporations are acting as if they're the government.
Well, no one's above the law. That's the point. But they're in their corporations. There's a CEO of that corporation, but there's still rules and regulations that apply across the board with law. This is the piercing of the veil, isn't it? In the legal side of things, they say about piercing the veil. because they get corporate, they protect immunity in their corporate bullshit laws. But when you bring them into law, yeah, then you have to pierce the veil to know that they've created a crime so that you can pierce the veil, yeah? Am I right in saying that in a legal side of things?
From that point of view, yeah. I comprehend your point of view. That's the difference. Most people wouldn't comprehend your point of view. I've known English people.
Explain it in a better way then. Explain what I've just explained in a better way then.
When it's two different things, Andy. When a conservative there is different from a conservative here. You really have to stick to the law.
Oh,
And
no, I'm talking about the
I'm
law.
going to use New Hampshire for an example. New Hampshire has the third largest legislature on the planet. Technically, the second largest, because what's in second place would be the Chinese legislature, but they're not really a legislature. They're a de lego dictatorship. New Hampshire, it has a population of just over 1.5 million people, which is a small population. We have 400 representatives. Okay. Of the 400, which is a big number, there are only about 50 today, maybe less, real conservatives. They believe in the rights of the people. They believe in the law. They believe in the constitutions, both of which should be supported because that's how you take your oath. So it's a very different game here. It's quite different.
Listen, right? If when something's correct, yeah, or when the way things should be, this is where it becomes common sense, yeah. But it's not common sense at the moment because it's not. But it doesn't matter whether it's in America, whether it's in England, whether it's in Greece, or wherever it is, yeah, New Zealand. It's common sense. Common sense should dictate, but it's not dictating because it's not common and it's not being allowed to be sensed because it's not being given out to understand for people to sense it.
Where that exists is unacceptable.
Yeah, exactly. Should be unacceptable, but it's being accepted because people don't realise there's anything they can do. So I used to tell people,
right back to
you must be getting told the same thing as me. Yeah, there's nothing you can do about it. They're too big. They're too powerful. You must get told that. Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to survive, Andy.
No, I'm just saying that's what people say.
Yeah. From what I hear, that crowd. Huh?
Just letting the dog out. I can still hear you. Go on.
Oh, wait.
You've just gone for a tot of that. Yeah, go on.
From what I hear, that's not going to exist too long.
Yeah, well, I think so too. I think it's, because the thing is, yeah, it's been ruled by deception, yeah. Let those that are deceived be deceived. But once they become no longer, they can't do that. So one way or the other, the people are going to start when the truth once the truth starts getting out. To take the TV, just imagine that, yeah. If we could get the truth out onto the TV to the masses, like, yeah, how quick the people would change. I mean, they're trying to say, like, oh, don't tell them because they'll all kick off and they'll be rioting, there'll be pitchforks in the street. No, there's a way of telling them. There's a way of telling them that you've been done, because it's gonna take some understanding what's really been going on, but they can be looked after straight away. We could stop the people that are doing the harm, that's causing the harm. We could stop it overnight. We could have the chemtrails that will be gone. The water will be purified for what people are drinking to be more healthy. All this would change overnight. Like I say, with imagine all the information, all the patented technology that's been kept away from the people. That could all be given back overnight and solve all people.
A lot of the patents are getting released, by the way.
I'm hearing it, but I'm not seeing it. I'm hearing it, but I'm not seeing it.
I agree with you 100%. I want to see it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I'm not, my mind is very liberal, but my actions are very conservative. I want to see it. I want to be able to touch it, right? Right. I think that the reason we haven't seen it is because of mainstream media and social media censoring. I think that's why we haven't seen it.
Not forgetting the main reason.
We've had
The main reason, Dave, is because the people haven't realised it. That's the main reason.
Well, they
The masses haven't realised it.
use your own representations here, which I agree with. The people are victims of mainstream media.
Yeah.
They're getting it from the television.
Psychological warfare.
Right. So what we need to do is to find some means of communication that doesn't include mainstream media or social media. I think that Trump can do that. I don't think Trump is done. He didn't give up. He never conceded, by the way. And
Well, we haven't conceded.
Biden took an oath to a corporation that's defunct that has jurisdiction over the District of Columbia. Biden's a moron. I know you guys don't pay a lot of attention to what happens here as much as we do, but you have Democrats and Republicans. And on the spectrum of intelligence, the stupidest bastards you ever met are on the Democrat side. None of the shit that they say makes any sense. And we have a saying here: never threaten a Democrat with facts. They hate facts.
Didn't
they bury the election fraud?
2
They
points.
buried
Dave, 2 points about it. 2 points about talking about it is the fact, number one, yeah, they're all actors anyway. And number two is who's giving them the authority? What authority have they got?
None.
So why are we even talking about it?
To be
You know,
US
in other words, that's what you understand what I'm trying to say. To even
have
talk about it.
You have to commit fraud to say you're a U.S. citizen on the voting registration.
I used
You
to
can't register as a voter unless you commit fraud.
Yeah.
You have to say, "Oh, I'm a U.S. citizen." None of them are U.S. citizens. They're all stupid bastards. They're really stupid. On a scale of 1 to 10,
they're all stupefied. They've all been stupefied because they bought the lies. They listened to the lies.
Yeah, but I don't have any sympathy for stupid people.
I fucking do because I used to be that stupid.
Andy, as my friend, I'm going to tell you something. There's two things
They make it easy.
I can't take it, Andy. Two things I can't take: small talk and stupid bastards. I can't stand them. You know, if you prove to me that you are mentally incompetent, I will get down on my knees and help you. I will give you anything that you need. But if you're a willfully ignorant, goddamn stupid bastard college professor, I am thinking about slapping the piss out of you as we look at each other.
And rightly so. With love, by the way. I say humble.
Schools are full of liberals and they teach bullshit. And it's called what I call social engineering. They're engineering the population to think like the fucking dumbasses that they are.
That's why
I don't have any room for
that's what I'm trying to say is when people know who they are rather than who they've been made to become, yeah, they've got to realize who they are. Once they do, so I mean the point, it's a big change. It's hard to accept, you know. So I can understand, you know what I mean, but like you say, when they fight you, you know, when they fight you being stupid and arguing with regurgitating hearsay with no facts or no credential to back it up, but they'll fight you with it. You know, you really know, you know.
I don't know if Dawn is going to hear this, but I'm going to let it out anyway. When we go grocery shopping, we often get separated because she shops her way and I shop mine. That's fine. It's fine. It's all good. But I was at the front of the store and this fucking jackass drove up to the store alone in his car with a fucking mask on his face. You haven't heard this yet.
I was there.
Well, you know, I don't think you heard this one. There was another one. He drove up with a mask on his face. I said, hey, you're in the wrong place. He goes, what? I said, shouldn't you be at the mental hospital weaving baskets right now? You drove up alone in your car with a fucking mask on your face. Hello.
What did he say? What did he say?
He didn't say anything. That was the funny part. He said nothing. I think he was listening to what I said. Doesn't mean I know what he was thinking, but he listened to it. What are you doing driving up in a fucking car all by yourself with a fucking mask on your face? Not to mention the fact. You see this here? Hang on a second.
Listen to this while you're looking for that. I went in, I got dragged in. There was a bar down the road that was still open, not long back, right? Yeah. And I went down there and I saw a taxi, he pulled me, and so I went in. I was chatting with him. We got talking, and the guy, right? Yeah, the guy, the landlord, yeah, had been pulled over in his car, and they charged him for not wearing a mask, and he was only on his, it was on his own.
That's because the police need to be fucking removed from the fucking goddamn police station.
They need a hefty fine for doing that. And I said, and you paid it? He says, yeah, because if you don't pay it, they put it onto your tax bill and you got to pay it then.
All right, you see this here?
Yeah, go on.
See that?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it stiff?
Yeah.
Well, my question for everyone who's watching this is, why is it stiff? How did it get so stiff? Otherwise, it would be a wimpy cloth. How did it get stiff? Right? No, I'm not going to give you the answer. I'm going to ask you why. Why did it get so stiff?
I'll give you the answer that most will say. Because it was ironed. It was pressed.
With what?
Starch.
What starched it?
Exactly.
Right. A lot of the masks, the cheap masks from a lot of these third world countries that are manufacturing them, are covered with formaldehyde. Formaldehyde is embalming fluid.
Yeah, you get that in vaccines too.
Oh yeah. Don't leave out the vaccine. Mercury, formaldehyde, fucking animal DNA. Right. Let's go get a shot. Why do they call it a shot?
Jab is it now. It's jab now. Jab is the word. Jab is the new in word. Come and get your jab.
Now, I heard from a nurse
Jab or stab.
in a New York City
Stab me.
hospital, a nurse from a New York City hospital, that said that they're putting all of the flu infected people in a room with the people who are not flu infected. They get $70,000 every time someone dies there from an injection. So New York City is engineering the death. Now, the mayor of New York, Mayor de Blasio, is not a de Blasio. He changed his name. His mother and father were communists. So when he changed his name, he became camouflaged so as to blend in.
Dual citizen.
He should be fucking taken off his shoes and arrested. Why?
One
Because he's harming people. Those who harm people should be arrested.
100%.
He went to the little boys' room or something. That was
Dual citizens, mate. Like you say, how can you have your people in there? You've got your dual citizen guys. You're full of Israeli Americans.
and they're not supporting Israel, America, should I say? You know?
No,
They're not
the
supporting American
Israelis
interests.
support themselves only. And the majority of the population of Israel are not actually Jews. They call themselves Jewish.
Others.
They're Khazars, the Khazar mafia.
And they're
Right.
not our friends.
Well, the Nazis. Did you know that George Bush was not George Bush, but the Bushes were the cause of the First and Second World War? They started it.
Oh yeah, they're called sheriffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're sheriffs. That's short for sherifius. I know sherifius people. Right. George Bush was killed off, and they all got envelopes during his funeral.
Yeah, but again, I'll hold you to the point. Like, yeah, have we seen his body?
Have I what?
And have we, number one, have we seen his body? And has anybody been shown the way he was?
I don't disagree with you. I agree with you. But what I do is I put
bit like Epstein, eh?
I put bits and pieces together that are not provable until some of it makes sense. That's what I do.
I'm going to say
that's what happens when you research hidden history. You have to put bits and pieces together until you figure out what you're actually seeing. Most of what I see is not provable. So that's where I spend all of my time. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Pretty much what they showed on mainstream media is Bush's death in his coffin. They put the American flag on his coffin, but it was very wrinkled, and that's a sign of treason.
Well, also, when George Bush got wheeled out on a wheelchair into the middle of the field of a football game on the Super Bowl, everybody stood up and cheered. What does that mean? That means the majority of the population is fucking stupid. To stand up and cheer for George Herbert Walker Bush means that you are a lights out meatball.
Yeah.
You are a meatball.
Or a paid actor.
Nothing up here.
So either he
A
was
paid actor.
or he really did die. I mean, you know,
He's old enough
you
to
can't
die.
prove it.
Paid actors.
His wife, Barbara Bush, you know, the Quaker Oats guy, she seemed nice, but it turns out she was another Satanist. You know what it is? They have two people. Satanists, there's one and two of them. One is the big mirage, the lovely, wonderful, patriotic community, you know, nice people. And the other one is the freaking evil Satanist. It's very easy for them.
I remember.
They have a problem.
I remember I think it was about 1992 or somewhere around 1990, whatever it was. It was when Channel 4, we used to only have 3 channels. It went to 4 channels, and it went to Channel 5 as well. There was none of the other stuff, yeah. And when it went on to, because it used to switch off at 12 o'clock at night, yeah. And then there was another channel opened up that was open, and it was on all morning, in the early hours in the morning. And it used to put some real good stuff on. And there was a program came on, right? Yeah, I think it was about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, right? Yeah? It was called 60 Minutes, I think. I think it was 60 Minutes. Don't hold me to it though. But they showed it was about the Mena connection and about Bill Clinton, yeah, and the Nicaragua arms, yeah, and the cocaine that it was being brought in. And it was even on this show, yeah. They'd got his bodyguard, Bill Clinton's bodyguard, who used to be head of the DEA, I think it was, Drugs Enforcement Agency, yeah. And he was sent with the head of the CIA or somebody high up in the CIA to go and take over guns and bring back cocaine. And he told Bill Clinton, and Bill Clinton told him to keep his mouth. This guy now is dead, right? Yeah. But at the time, yeah, when I was watching this, it was mad. It was about 2 children that had their heads chopped off. Yeah, outside this Mena Connection airport, the airport, there was a train track, and they'd both been killed by trains. And this woman had finally got them exhumed. And this is where I was getting to the point The point was, yeah, the doctor that gave the certificates of death on the two children, saying that they fell asleep cannabis and the train ran them over. When they was exhumed, one had been stabbed by a knife, by a bayonet. One had his head caved in by a gun butt before they'd been killed. And the doctor that gave the death certificate on them, there was no other than Bill Clinton's personal doctor that also got his mother off, I believe. I think it was him that got the mother off, for Bill Clinton's mother off, killing a kid in a children's home.
Are you talking about Bill Clinton's mother?
Yeah.
Well, she was a dirty bastard.
She killed somebody in a hospital, or whatever it was, and that same doctor gave the death certificate on that child as well, and got her off, and then he became Bill Clinton's personal doctor. This is going back. This was the Mena connection, and by the way, they'd got all the information on that. That was it, hook to rights. Yeah, that was it. He was game over, and two senators signed it off saying there wasn't enough information. They'd got everything. Even, honestly, it was ridiculous. The information, it was game over. It was the best, it was the strongest case I've ever seen. And you can still Google it now. The mother's...
Bill Clinton was a Rockefeller, by the way. Bill Clinton was a Rockefeller.
Yeah, well, I mean, who was... I'm not too sure. I mean, I'll tell you the best one for that one is Professor George Lee's like, fuck, he's got them nailed to a T, mate. He's got all their bloodlines and names going all the way, all of them. Even Trump, all of them, mate. Even Boris Johnson is a threat. So he's a Nazi. He's all stemmed down from Nazis. This is what he was saying. This is why I'm saying same with your Bushes. I mean, don't forget your CIA and your FBI and all this stuff. This is all created from the same. Because when the end of the Second World War, you got dumped with them all. You had Operation Paperclip. You took them all back with you, mate. They'd already got rid of loads to you. You know what I mean? You're run by this. It's the same now. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what George is exposing. It's
just
same with the Queen.
Days ago, the CIA was invaded by the military.
Yeah, I know. I saw that.
Langley, Virginia.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, the CIA is nicknamed Cocaine Important Agency.
That stems from the Mena connection.
In Catholic in action, the CIA is Vatican. Yeah. You have to be fucking evil to pray your
Don't forget Robert David Steele was ex-CIA.
Betray your country.
Don't forget Robert David Steele was ex-CIA as well.
Well, I know. You gotta remember, I watch with both eyes. One eye sees good, one eye sees evil. So don't think I'm asleep at the wheel. So you'll know. I'm not as dumb as I look. I'm not as dumb as I look. Many people who oppose me and argue against me don't comprehend that I see what they're up to. And that's fine. That's fine.
They have to expose it all.
I'm not interested.
That's the way satanic world works.
I'm not interested in satanic people, the Vatican, China, and any others who reveal themselves to be jackasses. The jury's still out on Russia. I'll tell you why. The Russian people, as it turns out, are nice people. I've met many of them. The Russian government is somewhat a part of a New World Order government. And they can't control their people either. China is a fucking mistake. What they need to do is to stop making so many babies that they're increasing their population by 10 and 15% per year. What they're trying to do is invade the world. They think that they're, how do I put it? Well, we're here. All right, here's how it is. Well, we're here and we're growing and populating, and well, we're going to overpopulate the planet. I disagree. Stay on your fucking side of the fence, okay? Now, there are 70,000 soldiers on Canada and way more on Mexico. And if they don't shut the fuck up, what we're going to do is wipe them out. Because anybody who goes along with the communist government is obviously even brain possessed or brain willing. Okay?
Didn't the Pope just kind of, I'd like to get that piece of where the Pope announced that China would be the next leader.
Well, that's
country.
because of the Pope's boss,
Well, yeah,
the Grey Pope.
they actually,
Pepe Orsini decided that the friggin' Vatican is going to take China and put them in charge. So what you're saying is very true. Right.
Yeah, but you've still got to ask the same question all the way through, guys. I mean, it's always down to the people. And the simple question is, who's given any man authority over a man?
That's easy. The Swiss.
Who?
The Swiss.
No, who's given any person that can, any man that can give another man consent is the man. Is the man. If everybody just agreed and understood that they haven't got a contract with anybody.
Say that again, Andy.
yes,
What was the first part of what you said?
we are in charge.
It's
Well,
all,
yeah.
we're the ones that give it by acquiescence.
If the
Don't
people are
freaking
not
make
paying attention,
Right,
they
don't
can't
know
be in
this.
charge.
Correct.
Right. I have to go to the bathroom.
But they're building an army with guns, and so do we.
Yeah.
No, the point is, we've got the pen is mightier than the sword. They're going to be taken out for what they've been taken out for. They've already been caught out.
Excuse me for a couple of
To see
minutes.
what they've been caught out for, to get the power of the people behind it to make it happen.
Could you please
Exactly. They're scared
Yes, you
of
crack on, Dave.
could you please
I-
excuse
I
me
think-
for a couple
I
of
think they're
minutes?
scared
Crack on,
of
mate. I'll
No.
pause it. I'll
You're
pause
right.
it.
I don't know anyone who wants to listen to 15 minutes.
It ain't been 5 hours, is it? I don't know, it might have been a long time. I don't think it's been 5 hours. Probably a bit long enough actually, this video, isn't it? Otherwise I'll never get it loaded up. But no, people do. I mean, no, people like I had a conversation with George Lees the other day, and I said I'll record it. Because I mean, some conversations that they're better for people to listen to. They're easier listening. Yeah, because everyone has an opinion, don't they? So it's good to hear other people's opinions. Even if they certain things. I mean, we talk about opinions. We talk about opinions and facts.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. People disagree with me. And people who have things to say that are even not only incorrect but lies. They're the most valuable ones.
Yeah, well,
The people who lie are the most valuable people to listen to because the lies are pointed. They're like a compass. When someone lies, they're telling the truth, and they don't know.
when does a liar knows he's a liar when he knows the truth. But other than that, they're just regurgitating what they believe is the truth, but it's actually a lie, and it's just as dangerous. But that's the point.
Regurgitators are the first ones to disregard.
How many, Dave, let's put it this way, right? Yeah, right. How many people do you know that have said that they know somebody that's died of COVID?
No one dies of COVID.
No, I didn't ask that question. I said, how many people have argued you back with the point or with the argument that shut your mouth, stop being so stop being so what's it like? I know people that have died of COVID. How many people have said that to you?
When they go
The point is, I asked a simple question. I'm not denying the fact, and I'll agree with the fact that you've been told that they've been told that they had COVID. Just like somebody, I had COVID the other day, and I'm okay, I'm all right. I said, no, you was told you had COVID. COVID doesn't exist, and they can't prove that it exists. So you've only been told it. You had a flu, you had a cold or something. They called it COVID. You know, it's not.
Well,
No,
now that
it's your
now that
pre-existing conditions.
now that Dawn is here in the room with me, and Dawn to educate the listeners, Dawn is a nurse, a real nurse, unlike other nurses, and she knows what's happening out there. And like she said, people who die of COVID are dying of pre-existing conditions. And it affects mostly the old people. And old people suffer from being locked, by the way, as a nurse in the New York City hospital.
It's like they're in prison.
But like a nurse in a New York City hospital said, they're putting the COVID people in with healthy people.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly.
It's
You
gonna
heard
spread.
that.
It's gonna spread.
You heard
No
that.
matter what.
That's
hard you
how it
try.
spreads. So when
They've
they
got to have
do
it
what
to
they
spread.
do, when they do what they do,
It's just like the common cold, flu, whatever they send out in fucking
Right.
chemtrails, making you sick.
when they do what they do, they're making you sick by their actions more than the virus. So what England needs to do is to take the cops that go into their homes and arrest people, punch them in the fucking mouth. Seriously. I'm not saying take a gun and shoot them and kill them. Punch them in the mouth, because he's a jackass. These cops are jackasses. They do whatever they're told for whatever reason for a miserable paycheck that they would never get if they had to require a skill.
Yeah, but
Cops
rather than
don't need a skill.
Dave, to put it in a more better way for them to understand, and for a better way that no one can come and say like you're inciting violence, because that's what they're going to
I'm
try
not
and do.
inciting violence.
But this is what I'm trying to say, Dave.
I'm telling them to stop inciting violence. The
Self-defense.
police are corporate entities, and they're inciting violence.
Correct.
That's what they're doing.
They've
They're
got
not listening to the law.
the better way of putting it then would be, yeah, if you listen to what I'm trying to say, is you have every right to punch them in the mouth if they're coming to attack you. You've got every right to defend yourself, and the self-defense law, yeah, the stand my ground rule, yeah, don't cross the line, yeah, is there because they are there unlawfully. They're there even illegally because they're coercing you. Whatever it is they're doing, they're more than likely there with a falsified warrant or trying to enforce an statute that you've never consented to. So whatever it is that they're doing, they're in the wrong because they're working the commerce and you're not. You're as a man, and they're doing what they're doing. You've got every right to stand your ground. Just when they're trying to enforce some nonsense, because I think you're talking about that one where they went round to bust into her house because somebody phoned them up and told them that they got a friend, they got a neighbour, or they got somebody else in the house with them.
Yeah. It's worse over there because I watched a video of a family in Scotland, which is part of the UK. They were invaded by two cops who decided there were too many people in the home.
Mm-hmm.
These cops are stupid. It turns out that I am extremely disappointed in their IQ level. They don't have the IQs to be police. The reason that they're police is because they have no IQ. And who knows that better than the Bar Association? So the bar agents are the boots on the ground administrators for the shadow government.
Call them what they are, David. They're mafia henchmen in uniform.
Well, yeah, but remember now, they're low IQ.
Exactly.
So whoever put them into position are the ones responsible. Right. I'm not dumb. I'm not dumb. I
I'm
get
not speaking for you. I'm speaking for the people that may be listening.
and so that they understand exactly. Don't see them for what they are, not what they're not, because they are not policemen. Any policeman, yeah, constable, yeah, is enforcing law. Any police officer is enforcing something that you've never consented to, so they can't enforce it on you. That's what it is. And if they do enforce it on you, you've got every right to stand your ground, yeah, and protect yourself, defend yourself against whatever they try to do to you. You know, the law in law you have, because you, so long as you see, the thing is, it's about you can match with match. You know, it's a rule one, rule equal. Yeah. At the end of the day, yeah, you're respectful. Be respectful, yeah, at all times. Be honourable and humble. Yeah. If they go overstep the mark, defend yourself. Be honourable to yourself. Don't let them just come in and take the piss out of you. Stand up for yourself. Stand your ground. Know what you're standing. I hope those people make sure that those police are now punished. Yeah, they receive a penalty and they're compensated for what they did because they was bang out of order. Yeah, that's when we start. When those things start happening, the police start buckling up. They start realizing that they haven't got this golden value. You know, that's what the motu proprio took out. They can't hide behind anything now. You can take them in their private capacity. You know, point is, you don't want to be doing that.
What we need to do,
Not having to do that.
not during this call, but we need to do after this call sometime, is discuss a strategy to make the police responsible for what they're doing. That's what we need to do. And it's not hard.
Contract. That's what you do.
Huh?
Pull them into contract. If they
they're entering into contract when they coerce you into a contract.
Yeah, no, you pull them into your contract with your terms and conditions. Don't accept theirs. If they're going to come in, then fine. If you've no option, so by necessity, this is your. I didn't want to get you done.
Well, that's great. We agree that they need to pay. The cops need to pay. The cops are fucking morons. What?
You fall out of a tree, David, you break your legs when you hit the bottom.
Fucking stupid fucking bastards they are. They'll do whatever they're told for whatever reason to get a paycheck.
Kill themselves.
I won't take a paycheck.
They wouldn't go and jump up a bridge, would they? So they don't.
I won't take a paycheck for fraud. I'd rather sleep in the woods in a refrigerator box than to take money for something that I didn't earn. The cops are stupid. Sorry. There's a case called Jordan versus New London. The cop, not a cop. The guy
labeling it. People are stupid. Some of those people are police as well. Just so happens probably most of them are, but that's not the point.
But I'm not interested. I don't care about who they are. If you're stupid and you get a job as a cop and you serve Crown Temple bar attorneys, you're a fucking moron. You're a fucking moron
as well. When the time comes, just like the Nuremberg Treaty didn't save the Nazis for following orders, it's not going to protect these police that have been following orders neither. You know, and
a lot of cops,
we're in, as you know, we're in martial law.
The fucking baseball.
If these courts are taken back, if the military are stepping in and doing it, there's going to be a military rule again, and it's going to be the same again, or something similar. Hopefully, this time by the people, not by the certain ones that choose it, so they can get rid of all the good people, get rid of all the good police, and save all the bad ones, the ones that went out there and caused all the shit on purpose, knowingly. That's what I mean about liar.
Let's talk about that.
There's a difference between a liar, right? Yeah, a true liar. A true liar knows the truth, so you know he's lying. You know he's lying. But the rest of the police, they don't know the truth, and they're just going around doing what they're doing because they've been told.
The Capitol building invasion, so they say. The fucking cops opened the door. I have videos of it. They opened the door. So the fucking morons, the Antifa fucking assholes, would all walk in and just act like jackasses. So it was the cops, Capitol Police, and you got caught. That's the problem. They got caught. We all know who let them in. Now, those doors open to the outside, not the inside. So how did the crowd get in with doors that open to the outside? Someone let them in.
Yeah.
Hello? What fucking morons. Seriously. Cops are fucking stupid fucking bastards. They risk their lives to enforce commercial code upon people that are not engaged in commerce to enrich the lives of the fucking bar attorneys in black robes. You have to be a fucking mental midget to do that. Hey, Dick Marple, Dick, DICKMARPLE, schools the judge. Watch him. Watch him.
On
You
YouTube.
don't need to register your
On
car
YouTube.
or get a driver's license. You don't need to register your car or get a driver's license. He kicked the fucking judge's ass. And then she lied to try to prosecute him. She said he acted under a suspended license. I was going to prosecute for him. I'm the one who was going to prosecute for him. But he died before I could do that. Okay? House Bill 1778. New Hampshire House Bill. 1778.
Just Google that. Google that and Google YouTube. What was his name again?
Both fucking sides in the House said that, well, we can't replace the income or the revenues generated without this bill. I mean, without the ability to fine people and take money from people from the Department of Motor Vehicles and the courts. So both sides, Democrat and Republican, they agreed to traffic people as persons.
So it's the
Lucky
same.
I'm not there right now.
See, that's
If I
what I
was
mean.
there right now, I'd be prosecuting all of them.
See, this is the problem. The problem we've got is, as like David Wynn Miller said, the fiction, yeah. The criminals will, the people that are acting in fiction, acting in the deception, will never expose themselves, yeah, because that's then done. So they'll never do it, yeah. They'll never give up the goose, like, yeah. And even if they do pay you out, they'll put a gagging order on you so that you can't talk about it, you know. This is why they can be what they can be. However, they can't be it if you know what you're doing and you know what to say or what not to say. That's the ability of the people. But I mean, once you ask the questions, that's why again I stipulate on that court documents, mate, facts. Here you go. We've got facts. You know, like you catch us out when we were doing them counterfeit MOTs and insurance documents. Yeah, you can't prove them because they're not on the computer system, are they? Let me see my documents because it's just exactly the same. Yeah. And it's going to be the same over in America. Different, it might be called differently, but it's going to be exactly the same. It's going to be the same in all countries because the bar takes control of all the courts, just the same as the bills of exchange takes control of all the banks. Yeah. So it's the same rules and regulations. Yeah. It's just the people holding them to account. People haven't realised because they've bought into the deception. They didn't realize that they was being deceived. How do you tell someone that's deceived they're deceived? You can't because they're already deceived. So the only way they can see it is by undeceiving themselves, by asking the simple question. If it was a true MOT certificate, it's going to have to be on the computer record and you can go and check it. And if it isn't on the computer record, it's not a real it's a counterfeit MOT certificate.
and you can do exactly the same with your court documents that's meant to have been issued. Yeah, that's meant to have been issued by a court. It's going to have gone through the administrative side of the court, and it's going to be administrated. It's going to have been administrated to you, and there's going to be a trail.
Not administrative side of the court. The entire court is administrative.
Yeah, but there's
They
a judicial,
not
on the judicial side, on the administrative side, they keep all the record. They're the ones that if it was done correctly,
So,
the correct procedure.
administrative creature would keep records,
Yeah.
but they don't complete records. They create records based upon something that
Information.
is outside their administrative court. That's why they don't have records of, as you would say, cases. Right?
No, yeah, I mean, for a court of the court of record, yeah, which is what they're all meant to be, if they're held to be, they're meant to be courts of record. So any case that's come out of it has to be a case record. There has to be a record of it.
Well, they're only courts of record on the administrative side.
Exactly.
They can't be courts of record on the common law side, because the only way to create a court of record on the common law side is to create affidavits.
Yeah. There would have to be. There would have to be, and if there's a crime, yeah, then there's a victim. Who is it that's going to come forward in front of you? They've got to produce that witness's affidavit, or it was made under the penalty of perjury, or the police statement that was made under caution. Yeah, if someone's brought a case against you, that's what it is. Or if it's an administrative side of things, like then there's got to be some the accounts to where the money's. There's got to show some form of it. So there's either an affidavit or a book of accounts, yeah, to show where the money that's owed comes from, if they're bankrupt or whatever, yeah. So either way, there's still a record. There still has to be a record, no matter which side it is. If you're getting charged for court fees, yeah, then them court fees must have been paid. If they've been paid, then there's receipts. Let me see the receipts. If there's no receipts, then you just made those little figures up and you're taking. That's fraud. Game over. Game over. It's the same with all of them. You've caught them out, banked your rights because there's a paper trail, and if they can't produce it, then the reason they can't produce it is because it never existed. Therefore, what you've got is counterfeit. And therefore, that is a crime.
It's not counterfeited. It's counterfeited securities.
The documents that they give, if they give a warrant out or a court order out, and it hasn't gone through the due process, and it hasn't got an embossed court seal on it and a wetting signature, it is not a true document. And that's what I mean by counterfeit. It's not genuine.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Or as the Baron David Ward would say, is a copy of the Mona Lisa the Mona Lisa?
The securitized the counterfeited securities are because of what they're doing. So that's what you need to pay attention to. They do not have the right to counterfeit securities from those alleged liens, contacts. Right. Don't support the counterfeited securities because, number one, they do not have licenses to securitize instruments. And they do not have the right to counterfeited securities. They have no rights. Counterfeited securities are as unlawful as hell. That's what the courts are doing. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah, they're also
Don't
giving
allow
out. They're also giving out counterfeit warrants and counterfeit orders for the bailiffs to go around and take people's, and for the social services to go around and take people's children. And these documentations are not genuine, and they don't stand in any law, and they've got no authority from the court because the court has never put a seal on it, and there's no wetting signature on these documents. They're not genuine, and there's no record on them because there's not been a caseman file that generated it. You know, so it's all counterfeit. And that, but in reality, it's being forced and being shown it's got any worth because the police enforce it, and the people don't fight it and don't question it because now the police have said, "What can you do about it?" Well, there is. You've got. This is the whole point about it. That's a crime that you've just exposed. And by popular demand, when enough people realise it and go and ask for the proof and realise it themselves, then they'll know to stand up. And the noise that we will make when the people, the area, when the world twigs on what's going on here, if that doesn't wake the people up. See, I look for it when I look for solutions, David. Yeah, I look for something that, number one, affects everybody. Yeah, and number two, stands firm. And that's the documentation that you know now you can prove 100%, and it's affected everybody. So if everyone jumped on the bandwagon, we could hold the courts to account. Everyone would be paid out, yeah, and the world would be abundant again, and everyone would be happy because we'd hold them to account. Plus, we'd have courts that are operating correctly because they have to now, because we've got our eye on them and we know the game. We've sussed them out, the little bar stinkers. And enough's enough. We're not going to take this anymore. Happy days. And then you can have a court that's going to now operate correctly for you to go and get your lien, you know, and everything else that's been done against us. I'm only talking about, you know, this is utopia, yeah. That's what it could be, mate. That's what it could be if the people would just wake up and smell the coffee and just saw what I was, you know, what I'm saying. If everyone held them to account and held them accountable, everyone's going to be very rich because we've been run by criminals for a long time. They've been caught out, and you're going to the double whammy here is that you'll get a court system now that's going to be held accountable if it doesn't operate correctly. So it'll operate correctly, and happy days, mate. We'll catch you. No need for any guns, no need for any violence. Just the pen. Pen is mightier than the sword, and by their own laws we shall take them down. Would you not agree? You've gone quiet, Dave. You're looking a bit tired, mate, and I've got to take my dogs for a walk. So I think we should. I think you should call it a day. I'm going to go and take my dog, so we'll knock this one off. And I want to go and speak to Anthony as well. Anthony was trying to get into me earlier, so I'll go and catch up, see what he's been up to. He's just been telling me he's had a good conversation, a good phone call with George, another guy who he's got off no end of times. It's not just the courts; it's the police as well. They're coming round with crime, with no one's made an affidavit or made a police statement against them, but they've gone round and arrested him for a crime where there's no crime number created, there's no information laid. It's just by somebody phoning up, and the number that they're giving is the phone number. Is the phone number record if somebody phoned up and reported them. There's no actual real crime. So anyway, it goes all the way. They're all crooks and criminals, but like I say, it's up to we the people, you know. And it's got to be simple, Dave. It's got to be simple, otherwise the masses ain't going to see it. You know, you understand what I'm trying to say? But I'm sure they can all see, you know, difference between something that's real and something that's counterfeit. Yeah. Anyway, Dave, I love you and leave you. Are you still there, Dawn? No, she gone. Yeah. All right, Dave.
In the living room.
Would you like to say any finishing part for the vid? Because we'll end it then.
What?
Do you want to say an end piece for your video? Because we're just about to finish it.
Well, if I think that I have you as the speaker, I would say that you projected an image or an oral part. I don't get it. it doesn't mean that you're wrong. It means that I don't get it.
Got you. Yeah.
I respect you, Andy.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, what I'm saying is, I don't know how better to say it. John could see, you know, you wouldn't accept counterfeit money. You wouldn't give somebody some of your property for counterfeit money because you know it's got no value. And the point is, if you knew that there was coming around to take your children off you, or your house off you, and you, because you know, yeah, you would look at the document, you would see that the document is not correct and has no authority from the court. You would stand your ground with that, and you would say, you know, and you would make them, and the people that stand the ground, yeah, they walk away. People that know what they're looking at, and then they point it out to the police. The police, you know, but they don't arrest them. They just leave them alone and they go away. They should actually be arresting them. That's the trouble, because that is the crime that's been committed. Someone's just come around to try and, if someone come around to you for some £20 notes, and they try to, you know, that's trying to rob something off you. That's fraud, mate. Yeah, they're trying to deceive you. No different than the courts. No different than the bailiffs or the social services coming to take your kid off you with a falsified document. No, there's no difference. That's what I'm trying to say. You know, okay, yes, there's a difference. One's a fucking a court order or a warrant, and the other one's a £20 note or a $20 note. You know, okay, but it's still counterfeit and it's still got no value. There's nothing to it. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. And if people stood the ground and on that, then they can only deceive those that are deceived. If you can't see it's counterfeit and you can't explain why it's counterfeit, then you're going to accept it as genuine, and the police are certainly going to enforce it because they don't give a shit because they're paid to do it. And paid, and there was like you pointed out, even I'm trying to keep it friendly to police as well. But like you pointed it out, police don't have to be intelligent to get into the force. You know, but the point is, yeah, we're all with all the ability to know what's the difference between what's fact and what's fiction, what's real and what's counterfeit. Anyway, I love you, lady buddy.
All right. Thank you, Andy. You are really a great guy. I don't know how else to say it.
Well,
wow.
You are too, buddy, as well, mate. You are too. You know what I mean? Onwards we battle, brother. Onwards we battle. Take care then.
All right.
God bless, Dave. Ciao, ciao for now. Speak soon.